welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are playing a little earlier on Saturday because we got a little special one shot here, and as part of that special, we have a brand new GM, a friend of ours from Garbleback Games. I'm gonna toss it over to Richard. Richard, take it away. What are we doing? What are we doing today?
Well, welcome to Lollygaggers. As Jeff has said, I am stoked to be here, running for these fine folks. We're going to be playing Discworld, a one-shot of Discworld, which is as linked as I can make it to the other one that I did on Garbleback Games, which aired last night. We're using the quick start rules from the Discworld Adventures in IN ANKH-MORPORK, and I had to concentrate because every time I was running through it in my head, I was going Discworld Adventures in Lollygagging. It's just getting caught up there. I'm the Discworld master for tonight. Can we have a quick show of hands on who has read or is sufficiently familiar with Discworld? Okay,
I saw the miniseries.
You hurt me, Stephen. You are hurting me.
That's fine. I think it helps, but I don't think it's actually required. It just means I have to maybe explain certain things as we go along a bit more because some of the lore. So I will apologise ahead of time because, as you may have noticed, I am British, and therefore my terminology will be British. So I might refer to the ground floor rather than the first floor. There are far fewer Zs or Zs, as I believe is the Americanism, and far more Us. If people are really feeling uncomfortable, let me know, and we can throw a few extra Zs into the chat just so you can fill them in where you need them. As Jeff has been known to say in the past, shall we do a quick round table?
Yes, hello. I am Igorina. I come from a long line of Igorinas. It's very nice to meet everyone. As I am going to be with you, you should all know who has come before me. So my left hand comes from great Uncle Igor. He is very, very skilled at what he did. My right hand comes from my wonderful late Aunt Igorina. She, like me, was a little bit blasphemous in the work that we do, and I hope very much to be like Aunt Igorina. Nice to meet everyone.
Nice.
Hello, I'm Constable Cliff. I'm a troll, but don't take it the wrong way. I'm actually a pretty nice guy, and I try to see the niceness in everyone else too. And well, yeah, I had very loving parents, and most trolls don't. It might be because my parents were human rather than troll parents, so that helps a lot. And I'm just here to make sure that everyone gets along, and we just try to help people, because that's what being in the Watch is all about.
And I'm Surly Underhand. I'm a dwarf, born in the shades, the rough and tumble of ANKH-MORPORK, you might say. I'm a crime scene iconographer. If you're unfamiliar with iconography, well, it's this tiny little box right here, and I point it at things that look fancy, that look neat, or a bit on the suspicious side, and I click this little button, and my little impish friend, Frankfurter, comes out, and as fast as can be, he just paints a perfectly beautiful picture. Sometimes it's not as fast as I like him to be, but he comes out, and we take some pictures, and occasionally, just occasionally, once, twice, maybe 4, 5 times, maybe 20 times, I've accidentally put some of my personal photos into the crime scene photos, and solved the crime cause of it. So quit your complaining. Surly, nice to meet you.
Oi, I'm Detective Bartholomew Hamrahan. Oh, yes, I'm a zombie. Oh, damn it, get this beetle out of my ear. Listen, let me be clear. I don't want to hear none of y'all calling me Rotten Bart. I know I smell. I know what these stitches smell like. I was 3 days from retirement when that damn bolt got me in the heart. And I am too dead to be dealing with your bullshit.
Hello, my name is Miss Forgotten Ampersands, and I am a gargoyle. I like to accept payment in the form of pigeons, and I am our designated noticer.
And like her eyelids close really slowly, one at a time, so one eye is always watching.
I don't know about everyone else, but the sound's cutting there a little bit.
Oh, I'm too high. Okay.
I hate dragons. They do not. They always follow me.
I'm going to have to do a different voice then.
Love the voice. Zoom
Let's see.
doesn't.
Yeah.
I hate dragons. They're always paying attention to me, and it's so annoying.
Yep, we heard that. That's awesome. So you hate technology. I did one and just completely lost what I was saying. Just a whole bit just vanished
It's
into
too
the ether.
similar to my Kermit voice, so it was too high. It was too up there.
No problem. So I'll just quickly go through a few minor bits of information for people who may have been watching, and of course players who may be not quite so familiar. Igorinas are female Igors who basically all of those Frankenstein movies and think Young Frankenstein, Igor, but it's a species, and they literally this hand is a good hand. We'll keep that for someone else. That level of thing. Trolls are literally stone. They are made of stone. As such, they tend to be quite slow and ponderous in Ankh-Morpork, which can be quite warm. But when the temperature drops, they really speed up, like a CPU almost. So they can be very intelligent in very cold temperatures. And Misbegot and Ampersand's being a gargoyle. When Misbegot says they, isn't it? They, them. When they move, it's like really bad 1960s stop motion animation, and it makes everybody uncomfortable. So, again, as I said, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll go from there. But let's get started. Rincewind was the worst wizard on the disc. This was mainly due to him breaking into the secured wing of the Library of the Unseen University and touching their Tabo on a dare. This was the most dangerous magical book on Discworld and probably the entire universe. As a result, one of the 8 great spells got stuck in his head and frightened away any normal spell, preventing him from being able to pass even the first exam. This, however, is not a story about Rincewind. The boat skidded along the quayside with all the speed of a whale swimming through sand, mainly because the Ankh River was only technically a river, as it's marginally faster than the city itself. A large crate was lifted from the ship's hold by means of a crane and lowered onto a snow-covered cart. As it settled, a fine scattering of sand was knocked loose from manifold cracks and crevices, along with a dusting of snow, and a scarab beetle, which landed on the cobbled streets, thoroughly confused as to its location, until the local rats decided to mug it and throw it in the gutter. The beetle was just beginning to think it had made a terrible mistake nesting in that wooden box when a pair of large black spiked boots stalked past and climbed aboard the cart. As the cart set off, the last thing to go through the beetle's mind was a cartwheel. The cart sped through the streets as fast as one can sped in a city where clamping of illegally parked carts is a watch pastime, and is made only worse by the hogswatch snow. The cart came to rest outside of a building with a most peculiar status, that of cultural centre, embassy, and public house. The sign declared this to be the Flaming Kookaburra, and proudly displayed the flag of 4X, the last continent. The spiked boots disembarked, paused briefly, then stalked into the pub. Cut to a richly decorated room, paintings of dubious origin and statues of nefarious ownership, placed with all the taste of someone with more money than sense. As the view moves across the room, it passes a richly carved sarcophagus, before passing briefly over the form of an oversized man lying on the floor with a rictus of fear on his face. As the view continues at ankle height, it passes a boot scraper cast in the image of death, with scythe raised in mid-strike, and stuck to the point of the scythe blade is a scrap of old musty bandage. As members of the watch, you have been sent to the house of Eric Enwild. I'll spell that for you in a moment, if you need it. A wealthy city of Ankh-Morpork, a citizen, of Ankh-Morpork, to investigate this murder, and for 38 Ankh-Morpork dollars a month, you are the thin brown smear between the fine upstanding citizens of Ankh-Morpork and, well, themselves. Your objectives are solve the murder and keep paperwork to a minimum. So you find yourselves in this room. The room itself is in a very well-to-do house, in a very well-to-do area of Ankh-MORPORK, but is actually through a secret door, like a trapdoor that actually is open for you at the moment, and down into a set of stairs into a very well set out but gaudy basement display room for all manner of weird and wonderful artifacts.
Surly, do we need to take pictures before we touch things again?
So you look at Surly, and he already has the iconographer out, and he is not taking pictures of the body. He's taking pictures of all of the fancy things that are on display down here.
What? Right. Yeah. You shouldn't touch anything. Just in general, I think that's probably a fairly good piece of advice. Let Bart handle everything. Could you come right in front, please? I need some scale for this one.
And so whatever, he's finding some specific like artifact or something. He's,
No, I don't want you to be front and center, off to the side a bit.
And then he's taking
Hey,
pictures.
boss, I'm about to run out of gold, so be a bit more cautious, as I'll have to go to black and white. Slam.
You see what you did? You see what you did? You know what you did, and now we're getting yelled at. Okay.
I don't know what I did, but I do apologize. And in every picture, Cliff has his eyes closed, like he's just blinking hardcore.
Fair enough, because it takes too long for your eyelids to open back up. Do you even have eyelids?
Yes, I have rocky eyelids, Jeff. I'm allowed to have eyelids.
So I think what Surly is doing is he's going around and systematically like taking pictures of all of the various things in the room other than the body, and seeing if anything maybe might be missing. Looking to see if maybe this was like a theft that resulted in death.
Okay. Right, so let's go through what everyone's planning to do, and then we'll go through dice rolls for each person. So, Jeff, you tell me what you're looking at. Melissa, what's Igorina planning?
So Igorina has, once all of the pictures have been taken as they need to be taken, she is planning to examine the body. This seems like her area of specialization and should be the thing that she should do.
Cool. Stephen, what's Cliff doing apart from standing there as a model?
After he's done modeling, I think he would step outside the room or look out a window to see like if there's a crowd perhaps gathering or like witnesses to interview along those types of things, doing crowd control essentially.
Sure. You're actually in a basement area. There's no windows in the basement, but you can go back up out front. Yeah. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
No problem. Ashley, what's Misbegotten Ampersand's doing?
I'm going to be looking for any sort of any fingerprints or weapons that may have done the deed.
Okie dokie. And Aaron, what's Bart doing? Oh, you're muted, and
muted. Well, Bart, he doesn't like to talk, but you have to understand, I'm dead. So for me to talk, I gotta force air in and out of these dusty lungs. It's hard. But since I'm gonna go now, old Bart's looking at that piece of parchment there next to the end of that scythe.
No problem. To be clear, it's a piece of old bandage rather than parchment. But
sorry, old bandage. You know, Bart's eyes got cataracts. Plus, it was hard for me to see.
No worries. So again, we'll do in order as I've done. So, Jeff, in order to do this check, you'll need to pitch to me a trait. Now, if you look at your character sheets, you will see that pretty much the entirety of the character sheets are just words. There are traits, there's a description, organization that you're with. The only number on the entire sheet is your luck points, which, ignoring that, everything else you can use as a trait. So you tell me which of the traits that are on there you think would help you in the task that you're trying to do.
So the most obvious one is crime scene iconographer, but I also think curious enough to make Katz nervous because he's very curious about the different trinkets and things, which may or may not be benign or could cause horrific pain to somebody who tinkers with them when they shouldn't. And I would even say maybe even a dwarf born and raised in the Shades, since it's such like it's sort of the rough and tumble neighborhood, thieves, smugglers. So he has this like upbringing, knowing like thieves and things like that. So those are probably the ones that pop the most to me.
Sure. I think the last one is the more likely, to be honest. I will say, as one side thing, because of the writing of Terry Pratchett and the way the game's been written to try to make that feel free to twist the language until it squeals. Puns are absolutely the word, the name of the game. So, with those traits that you mentioned, I think because basically I give you a dice type to roll based on how good the trait is or how bad the trait is. So I think that with all those ones you've provided, especially the Shades one, that's a D12. And what's going to happen, I'm going to roll the D8, which is the narrativian dice, and I'm the only person who rolls this. You roll yours, and if you roll higher than me, you've succeeded.
All right.
I wonder if my dice will be as good tonight as they were last night.
I rolled a 7.
Okay, I rolled a 3, which means you succeed. If you rolled the same, you would have succeeded, but taken a consequence as if you'd failed.
Okay.
So you're looking around, you're taking your photographs. There are a lot of things here, and almost nothing matches. You've got serious, just disparate, expensive things that someone has bought because they're expensive and they're difficult to get hold of. Some of them you're fairly sure are probably illegal. This seems to be someone's display vault. So you've got there's no empty spaces where all these things have been kept, apart from in the sarcophagus itself. It's stood upright. The lid is to one side. It's the traditional type with the relief image of some kind of you would know this. Again, for the players who aren't familiar, there is a desert nation on the disc, which is 100 miles long and 1 mile wide. Their main product is what used to be pyramids. And there is a single river called the Jejel, which runs the length of it. And the nation is quite literally called the Child of Djel, or the Jelly Baby. And this is sarcophagus from the Jelly Baby. But there is no mummy inside of it. That's the only thing that's missing. The things you do find however, that are here, that look like they probably shouldn't be, are a beer mat from the Flaming Kookaburra, this piece of bandage, and on one of the desks there appears to be like a pile of letters. Most of them are bills or the like, and scrawled across the front, someone's written basically lines through the name, not known as this address.
Okay. So he will, as he's going around,
no, it looks fine. Well, oh goodness, that shouldn't be here. Yeah, they all have in common. There's really no aesthetic synergy between the displays here, but they are all very expensive and probably shouldn't be here.
And then he will kind of focus his attention on the pile of the letters, and he will first try to adjust the stack so it looks somewhat disheveled and attractive for a photo, and then he will maybe start kind of sifting through the letters a little bit.
No worries, I'll get to that once I've done all the others. If my brain is not always on it, so I may forget, remind me. Feel free to prod me if I forget something. Lots of balls in the air and all that. Melissa, so you're looking at the body, I believe.
Yes.
So, no problem. So, pitch me a trait. What do you think would be the most likely thing?
So the most obvious one is the applied forensics, but I'm also wondering if some of the ways that she does applied forensics is she has a stitch in time saves 9. So she kind of goes in her bag and she pulls out needle and thread, and she is as if she is like stitching in the air over if there's any wounds. And in doing that, when she pulls it out, she sort of sees how the wound might have been made.
No problem. Again, I think that's pretty much definitely in your wheelhouse. So it's a D12.
That's great. Wait, 1 second. I rolled an 18 and I was like, nope, that's not a D12 then.
That's really good on a D12, yeah. Is Melissa doing that thing again?
It's a well-known fact
these-
that she cheats.
So
Yes.
I have these lovely Norse Foundry dice where the D12 is actually bigger than the D20, and it throws me off frequently when I kind of grab them. But I rolled an actual D12 this time and got a 7.
No worries. To be fair, it's very difficult for you to focus. I rolled a 1. So, it's an interesting mechanic, the fact that the ref and the player are rolling off against one another. I quite like that. So you look over the body, you're checking it over. There is a bit of a contusion, pretty much ankle height, that you think probably bears quite a strong resemblance to the boot scraper in the doorway. Apart from that, he actually has. Actually, with your roll, he's got the only thing he's got as a wound is there is a pinprick on his neck, a really small pinprick on his neck. But he's got this look of sheer fear and horror.
Surly, Surly, could I bother you for a second?
What? Oh, you never be a bother to me. What is it?
So, can you get in close for picture? There is little tiny small hole right there. That's maybe important.
Okay, one second.
And so he's going to hold the iconographer up and put his face right next to the pinprick so that he can measure the size of the pinprick to his nostril and then hold it there while he takes a picture.
There is a brief that the door opens briefly again. Really?
Hey, Frank.
And Frank reaches into the little waistcoat that this little imp is wearing, pulls out thick bottle-rimmed glasses, puts them on, shuts the door with a slam, and a picture is taken. No problem.
You Surly.
You're welcome.
Oh yes, no. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, don't thank him. It'll go to his head.
Okay.
Again, little tap on the side door. Door opens. One for the lady. And he passes out a little picture that he's drawn of a rose. He shuts the door again with a blush.
Thank you very, very much. And Igorina's a bit new here, so she kind of like steps back a little bit to kind of hide her blush and looks around to see what everyone else is doing.
So, Constable Cliff, you go back up the stairs. When you get to the top of the stairs, there's actually not that much in the way of a crowd because IN-ANKH-MORPORK, being what it is, a door wide open with watch around it. Most people aren't that bothered. Murders are not uncommon, or more specifically, it is not unknown. There are rough people out there. The Thieves Guild do try to keep the violence to a minimum because it's bad for business. And the Assassins Guild, well, they'll leave you a receipt of the inhumation. They're very professional. Most people of IN-ANKH-MORPORK are really not that bothered. The only person you really see taking advantage of the small number of people who are being curious, most of them you think are not from IN-ANKH-MORPORK, is Cut My Own Throat Dibbler, who's standing there with his sausage in a bun stall.
What's his name?
Cut My Own Throat Dibbler.
Cut My Own Throat Dibbler.
If his prices were any lower, he'd be cutting me. I'd be cutting my own throat.
And I take it I know him then.
Oh, he's known by everybody. His sausage in a bun is well known as well because it is the baseline of his business. And when everything else he has failed to do, like his recent attempt to do coal-fired slippers, has failed, he goes back to sausage in a bun, which is a named meat sausage. Sometimes those names are engraved on little metal discs that you find in the sausage.
Hello, Mr. Dibbler. Have you been working here all day?
No, just got here. Can I interest
Got
you
here?
in a sausage in a bun?
Of course, I would like 3. But
Oh.
do you any of your customers, has anyone seen anything suspicious or strange or out of the ordinary today?
Half the crowd almost immediately, yes, and they start pointing at people in the crowd who are suspicious or weird things that they've seen, which is, I saw the librarian coming out of the library, and he wasn't eating a banana, he was eating an apple. It was weird. It was really just wrong.
That is very strange. The librarian always eats a banana.
Yeah.
I'll have to make a list. And I have chiseled features, so I am chiseling into my hand my notes here.
No problem.
Librarian, no banana, is what's chiseled on there now.
No problem.
And I would be dutifully just taking notes of everything that everyone says.
No problem. To cut me own throat, Dibbler does say, can I interest you in a... And he reaches into a back area of his stall and pulls out a couple of literally recently whittled from bits of wood figures. Special collectible murder victims.
Murder? How were they murdered?
How would
I hope
you
it
like
wasn't
them
here
to
in
be murdered?
IN-ANKH-MORPORK. I would have to arrest someone.
How would you like them to be murdered? And he's got like a little thing. I can do like a limb lopped off, or...
Oh, no. I would never want to murder anyone. You can't murder either. It's illegal.
Oh no, I would never. I just, well, yeah, legality. Yeah. 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 And he puts it away quickly. So what we'll do is, you're trying to get some information. Again,
it's okay if there isn't any. If I'm chasing the wrong.
No, I can always throw things in. I'm a seat of the pants kind of ref. So, what do you trait do you want to pitch?
I'm the face of the group. I've got public relations, and I've got a winning smile.
I think any one of those. Again, I'm being very generous this afternoon for me. D12.
All right.
You are officially retired tonight.
That's a lolly. 12.
Nice. I rolled a 1.
It's a Gandhi.
Actually, I'm going to quickly grab my dice jail off of the shelf because I need it. Dice jail.
Very nice.
One of the things you can print with a 3D printer, Stephen. So no problem. You start asking around. Again, as I said, most of the people are often completely useless. Sometimes you think made up for getting the attention of the watch kind of stories. But one person going past is actually a postie, someone from the post office. It's actually the old, oh God, what's his name? Grote, senior post, junior postman Grote at this point, because he's just before going postal. Got a letter I thought I'd try to deliver to the master of the house.
Oh, that may be difficult. He's likely dead. I don't believe we've officially identified the corpse, but I can deliver it to the corpse if you wish.
Yeah, that'll be one less letter for us to have in the post office.
My pleasure. I will make sure that he gets this. Thank you so much for your valued service.
Thank you, Constable.
Of course.
He scampers off. And this
And I give
letter
him
is
my
addressed.
diamond tooth grin.
And he looks a little worried, a little disturbed, but only a little bit. So the address on this letter is the address of this house, and the name is Duke Enwild of Eritor.
And after I've finished chiseling all my notes and stuff like that, I'll take the letter in and show it to the rest of the constables. I wouldn't open it myself. I'd probably place it on the body. Here you go.
No problem. Okay, so Ashley,
guess.
Okay, so you're looking around trying to help out, basically, aren't you? Was a specific
Yeah.
thing?
Well, it seems like they've got like the weapon. Igorina has that. So could I pursue the letters?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. At the moment, I think Surly has literally just finished photographing them, having
Yeah.
artfully stacked them.
If you look at him this direction, the shadows cast a very appealing and sultry looking shadow over top of the.
Miss Begot hasn't moved yet, by the way. So they've just been like in the corner, just kind of sitting there. So she's kind of been, they have kind of been just ignored because they kind of just blend in. And then suddenly you just see this horrible as they start to walk across the room to get to the letters.
It's very, very disturbing. But no problem. You can get there. There's a small stack of letters. A couple of them to one side. There's two different stacks. Would you have merged the two stacks, Surly, or would you have kept them separately?
I probably have been picking up one by one, sniffing them, and based upon their scent, organizing by scent.
Okay.
So they're probably mixed up now.
No problem. So going through them, you can find a bunch of letters to Eric Enwald. That's ENWYLD. I did say I was going to spell that earlier. And Duke Enwald of Eritor. And the ones with the Duke Enwald have been crossed through, not known at this address.
Okay.
And looking at them, you don't think, apart from the one that Cliff brings in, you don't think any of them have gone through the post office. They all look like effectively rent an urchin, find an urchin on the street, give them $1, take that to that address.
Okay. Do any of them have a return address on them?
One or two, yeah. I mean, they've got one which is the Ankh-MORPORK tax office. You've got one. That one will be for the Duke. You've got one for Eric Enwald, which is to who would that be from? That would be from the actually from an individual organising transport to Jelly Baby and back. And you've got one which has an address from the Patrician of Ankh-MORPORK, Lord Veterinary, and that again is to the Duke.
Okay. Yeah, I might start opening some of the letters and seeing the contents of them.
Sure. Do the sensible thing and write things down.
I am the designated noticer. I'm patient and perceptive.
Mm-hmm.
And I spend all day watching for illegal activity. So I'm gonna try to apply that to this as well.
Sure. And just not to break the theme so far, I think that's a D12.
Nice.
It's basically if it's really your thing, it's a D12. It's really not your thing, it's a D4, and then in between. And so far, everything's been people's.
We're sticking to our
thing.
strengths.
Yeah.
I got a 9.
Okay, I got a 5, so no problem. You start going through the letters, assuming you're opening some of either. The letters to Eric Enwald, the victim, appear to be pretty much offers of items for sale, demands for payment for items that he's purchased, a letter from his mother, those sorts of just general things for the kind of person who has weird and not probably very legal items in his home. The other ones mainly appear to be official requests to the Duke. The veterinary, the patrician of Ankh-MORPORK is a permission to come to Ankh-MORPORK and stay at Ankh-MORPORK because he has been thrown out of Eretor. He is the former Duke of Eretor. And there is one actually within because of what you've rolled, within the letter, actually calls him Archie Tuttle.
Okay.
He is very in debt, as I'm sure we all are aware. And there's this Archie Tuttle who may also be the Duke of Eretor. We should look into him.
Okay, that's good information to know.
Okay, so let's go to
Just
Bart.
blinks.
So Bart gets really close down to that bandage. He's like, gets it close. And he hawks out a cockroach out of his nose, grabs it in his hand, chews on it for a few seconds while he thinks, sniffing the bandage, looks back at the empty sarcophagus, and he is going to be using detective and the fact that he's a zombie, so he knows his way around the undead. And remembers the good bad old days. So he's thinking about the bad old days of the nation of Jelly Belly and some of their more horrendous, artifacts that seem to show up. He's got mummies on his mind, and he's trying to figure out if this bandage might have come out of that sarcophagus attached to something else at some point.
No problem. Again, just to match the theme, have a D12.
Would we say Bart's a mummy's boy?
He is a mummy's boy. Bart's quite the mummy's boy.
Have a point of luck, Jeff. That was fun.
Oh, thank you.
That was good.
I was trying to figure out how to make the pun work with the Duke having a letter from his mom and talking about mummy.
Yeah. Nice.
So I got an 11.
Okay, I got another one. I need more D8s. They're really not rolling well. And I was rolling so well yesterday. So, no problem. You look at it, you spend a little bit of time investigating. You leaving it on the scythe, or are you going to put it off? Or
He'll leave it on the scythe for now.
Okie dokie. It is a very old, musty piece of bandage. It looks the kind of thing that a mummy would have on their body, on their person. And sniffing it, how as much as your sense of smell actually works, there's definitely a smell of the kind of chemicals and stuff that you have heard that they use. So that smells like a mummy's bandage to you.
Yeah, I think we might be dealing with the Duke's mummy. Or mom. Or both.
He does have a letter from her.
Well, perhaps we should talk to his mom about his mummy, who apparently is not here. The mom or the mummy.
What if his mother was a mummy? So you say she's a mother, but she's also a mummy.
She is a mummy.
Mummified mum.
Mummy squared.
That's a better title than I chose.
I think that's we are going to need to figure out. So there's the injury here is from, and she'll kind of point to kind of the boot scraper. That's the wound that he had is from that, but then there's this very, very small little pinprick. So it's someone who knows something about that may have made yes that thank you Shirley, and thank you Frank. That might have
welcome.
might have maybe made him more likely to trip over something that's already in his house all the time. So someone who knows something about that stuff, maybe?
Like an apothecary or an alchemist or
Yes.
Hoodoo specialist. So what we know is the owner of the house here, who may or may not be a duke, who may or may not go by the name of Archie, whose mom may or may not be a mummy, is dead. He's got a pinprick in his neck and a bruise on his ankle, and there may or may not have been a mummy either walked out of here on its own or was abducted as part of the murder.
And he's got all sorts of things here that he may or may not have paid for, according to the
It
list.
doesn't look really like he paid for anything.
That's just smart, really.
Cliff is just
Maybe-
furiously chiseling into his hand all of these like bits of information that Bart and Surly and Miss Begot are saying.
What if this is just debt collectors?
But they left most of the stuff. I mean, if
Right.
debt collectors came in, it's hard to collect from a corpse. Well, I take that back, actually. It's easy to collect from a corpse. If I could have stayed a corpse, I wouldn't be dealing with this shit right now. But where was I? Oh, God, damn cockroaches.
But you're right. They left the things that are worthwhile here. So if they were coming for the things that they could sell, they probably wouldn't have left all the things here.
One.
Is anything else missing other than what was in the sarcophagus? Can we see any like dusty spots or anything where anything's been moved around?
I took pictures
have
of
nothing.
everything. Nothing's
Yeah.
missing. Well, I technically don't know that nothing's missing because I don't have any pictures of beforehand, but nothing looks like it's missing.
What
Richard,
if
there was one other thing, like the beer mat from, like there's a beer mat from Cookbro. Is that what you said?
The flaming kookaburra.
Yeah, and wasn't that referenced? Didn't Constable Cliff get a reference to the same place?
yes?
Didn't I hear that?
The flaming kookaburra was mentioned in the intro.
Oh, okay.
In
I
the-
thought I heard it in
that-
second place. Yeah. Sorry, Ashley, go ahead.
What if can you verify if the pinprick is poison, Inkarina? What if he was poisoned?
So would it be Richard, would it be possible for me to use my Stitch in Time saves 9 to be able to see what caused this? So I'm kind of like watching this injury as it occurs.
You can certainly try that. So I'm going to say, I don't think that's exactly on the button for it, so I'll give you a D10 for that.
Okay. Works. And I rolled a 10.
Okay, I rolled an 8, so yeah, I was a little concerned. No problem. Looking
you were
at
so
it,
excited that you didn't roll a 1. And then I rolled
yeah,
a 10.
yeah, no worries. It's that your needle is probably slightly wider than the barrel of whatever it is that made this hole, but then it's a needle, not a really thin dart or whatever.
Mhm.
This looks like it's been made by the dart. You can gather a little bit of a sample with your needle, and actually, I'll just fold it into what you're doing, or ask for an extra roll. There's definitely some kind of foreign material, some kind of foreign chemical on the tip of your needle when you sort of pull it out of the hole.
And so she'll kind of hold up the needle that has that on it. Barth, is this something that's one of yours since they're dead already, that they could see what this is and see what the effect is?
Let me see it, Angarina. And he takes it and he puts the needle in his mouth and he sucks it clean. And I'm going to use that. Better it happened to me than you, trying to suss out what this poison is. And again, leaning into detective and the fact that I'm in the watch.
Yeah. The first one you mentioned, the better it happened to me than you is yes, D12.
Ooh, I only got a 7.
Got a 1.
Oh my gosh.
You couldn't make this up. No. So you see Detective Bart literally lick off this liquid, this sample, stands there for a second, head cocks, sudden rictus of fear in his face, and he just slumps to the ground. And then for a full 2 count, and then you sort of get back to yourself, and you can rearrange your face into the normal thing.
Is my ear still on? The damn thing seems to fall off all the time when I hit the ground. No, all right, we're good.
I can take care of it for you. I can. Here you go.
Extra few stitches right back there.
Got it. There you go. Good as not good as new, but as good as it's going to get for now.
And he hands the needle back. This was tasted interesting. The rictus thing on his face, that's the poison. Obviously, you saw it when it hit me. I think I loosed a molar in there. Yeah.
Nope. There you go. That's on the floor now. I can't stitch yours back in. You should be more careful.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
Okay.
He picks it back up. He's like, I've got somebody who can nail the tooth back in later.
I've got a guy.
That's great. So is it definitely poison that went in?
Yes. Now, Richard, do I think did I survive because of the fact that I'm already dead? I mean, would this have been a lethal thing if I had been alive?
Oh, yeah.
So it was definitely killed with the poison.
Okay, this is good. Good.
Is it mummy's poison? Like, is that how that works?
Well, that's a good question. I don't.
And is it like his mom's poison, or like
could have been his mom's poison? Could have been it. Could have been his mom, the mummy's poison. Mum's the word on that, though, until we know for sure.
This is quickly becoming a tongue twister.
Well, we've definitely solved how he died, but not why he died.
Okay.
So I think we've got to follow.
As this is all going on, certainly because you're going to be looking around anyway. Igorina and Bart, you've been talking to Miss Bigot. Would you be paying particular attention to Miss Bigot, Cliff?
Fairly. Like I said, I'm trying to take notes on everything that they're saying. So I feel like I'd be paying equal attention to everyone.
No problem. Over the time you've been in here, Bart has probably hocked out, scratched out, pulled out at least a dozen cockroaches. And you notice that barring the one he ate, they all seem to have congregated around and on Miss Bigot.
Miss Bigot, I don't know if you've noticed, but and then I see everyone else looking, and I try to turn to be more discreet and private for her. My voice not going any lower though; it still echoes throughout the room.
Sure.
You have several cockroaches on you.
It's definitely the level of volume is the same, but it's gone down to the level of baritone where it's almost moving the things on the shelves with the vibrations.
And you just see as Miss Bigot, they do another slow blink of both eyes as they turn glitchingly towards you.
Miss Bigot did not notice their new friends.
Need assistance?
You can try, but they will return.
I'll just start pinching them off, and I don't think I'd want to kill a cockroach. I would try to put them in a pouch of mine, and just store them until we go out and I can free them.
No problem. So what are you all doing while Cliff is taking all these cockroaches off of Miss Bigot and stuffing them in a pouch?
Surly, did you say something about the place for drinks? Do you think we should go talk to the place with the drinks and see if they know what's going on with him?
Well, it might give us an opportunity to learn about him and see if there's anyone else, like his mummy, who would want to harm him. And that might give us an idea. Maybe. I don't know. It's just a possibility.
I'm also a little bit thirsty, so that would be good too.
One other thing, there's the only thing that was missing is was an empty sarcophagus, right? Right. That's kind of the idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Can Surly just wants to go in? Can he go inside the sarcophagus and just see? Yeah.
He says, I'd like to know just what the perspective of the mummy would be when the door opens up.
And so he wants to take a
I
picture.
can close the door on you if you want.
Oh, that's a good idea. Close the door. I'll take a picture on the inside. And then you open the door. I'll take a picture again. And then we have an idea of what the mummy, assuming the mummy is the killer, what they saw in their first awakened moments in the basement.
Okay, knock twice when they're ready to come out.
Okay, so he's basically he's just looking to see if there's anything in the sarcophagus, if it looks different when it's closed, other than just being really dark. But maybe.
No, you squeeze into the sarcophagus because you're a lot more girth than that part of the mummy, because you're actually your shoulders are mainly around about where probably the hips of this mummy would have been, possibly slightly higher. So you kind of, if you stretched yourself up a bit more, then you know, if you'd been fully stretched, you might have fitted better. But you're a good sturdy dwarf, so you know. And the door gets shifted in front of you. As the door's closing, you see, as the door's closing, a label on the inside of the lid, just as it had been put, because the lid had been leant top toward the door, so you're only now seeing the bottom as it's going in. It's not smooth wood. It's actually almost into where the relief form of the mummy would be, and the label says "Made in Clatch."
Okay. He will take a quick, like Frank, really quick, and then he will draw everyone's attention to this, and like, with anything in the letters from Clatch.
You all hear because the lid's on.
Was there anything?
Yes. Hello. Asking question.
I think he's ready to be out.
I told him to tap twice. He hasn't tapped twice yet. Maybe he's
I guess
testing
it's
the
just me and you,
as
Frank.
part of the investigation.
I can't see a thing dead about you.
I guess they just left us here. We're just you and me. Oh goodness. Well, if this is how it's going to end, I guess this is you're a good friend to end with. Oh goodness gracious!
And you hear the door open and like the scampering of someone up your arm, and sort of literally pushed into your hand is the tiniest bottle of beer you have ever felt. It's his size of bottle of beer.
How much room? Okay, how much room have you got inside that thing?
So
yes,
he takes a little sip.
That's about all you get.
Yeah.
And so then you see your Igorina like knocks twice.
Oh, someone's
Are you
here.
ready to come out?
What?
Knock twice if you're ready to come out.
I can't hear things she's saying.
I think she says knock twice if you want to come out.
Oh.
So he knocks twice.
And then Igorina opens the door. What were you doing in there? Were you testing acoustics?
We were having a beverage. And I found a label. It says it's made, the sarcophagus was made in Clatch. Were any of the letters from Clatch?
And you see, he literally, he's kind of gesticulating. He has a really, really tiny bottle of beer.
Yeah.
Empty between his thumb and forefinger.
I know it's empty, but it's really small, so I don't want to. No reports necessary. Everything's fine.
Was there anything in the letters about Clutch?
There were a couple of things in the letters. Primarily, it was people requesting payment and offering Clatchian artifacts.
Mm-hmm.
Would we know that Clutch is like part of Jelly?
No, they're separate nations. So if I remember correctly, I think Clatch and Phoebe are either side, if I remember correctly, to Jelly Baby, and to Jelly Baby is the nation that kind of keeps them separate. Certainly a Phoebe.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think Clatch is the other one, if my memory serves me.
Yes, the they wanted payment and were offering other goods.
So, what's our next steps then?
Well, where
Well,
did the Kletch letters come from? Someplace in the city? Or are they from
Right.
Kletch?
They were from Clatch.
Ah,
Oh. Well, that's outside our jurisdiction.
that's a little far. And that desert heat does. I mean, if you think I stink now, oh my god.
We took over to
I
the
do.
Flaming
Thank you, Steve.
Kookaburra. They started drinking without us, but we still all kept up.
Well, how about this? You go to the Flaming Kookaburra because I'm here to tell you, I can taste things, but if I swallow, the plumbing doesn't work. Do you know how hard it is to get things out of my guts? I just have to spit everything up, and I find that most of you warm bodies hate it when I puke things up just so I can have a taste of them.
You just do it like it's fancy, like they do with the wine, where you swirl it and you taste it and then you spit it back and you just act like it's parts of the thing.
Well,
Well, I
we
think-
are on the job, so it would be unethical to be drinking. Why don't we just go to the Kookaburra and ask questions? And I look at Surly with his bottle of beer.
Oh, we thought we were going to die. Okay, we thought that was it. We thought it was all. We were just. It's fine. Hey, Frank, go give Cliff one of your bottles.
I might need a hand. And the little imp comes out, sort of walks along Surly's hand, and then sort of passes the tiniest little bottle you've ever seen.
Yeah, it's good for you.
Oh,
It'll
thank
put
you.
hair on
I'll
your-
have this
on your
after
stone.
my shift, and I put it in the pouch with the cockroaches.
No problem. You're not sure, but you think you might hear a.
So I've got a pouch full of drunk cockroaches.
No problem. So what's your plan? What are you going? What are you going to do
Going
now?
to the Kookaburra. Who's
Kookaburra?
going with me?
I'll go.
Sure.
Bart is going to take the bandage off of the scythe,
Mhm.
and when he gets out to the street, he's gonna blindfold himself with the bandage, spin around in a circle, and just start walking in a direction. Because he always hits what he should be aiming for, and he's aiming to find where this mummy went.
No problem. No problem.
Miss Forgot will follow Bart while they go to bar. They don't have pigeons in bar.
No problem. Almost as that said, a pigeon flutters down and lands on Miss Bigot's head. And from that, looks like then gets eaten. No problem. So, okay, you head your separate ways. I think I'll start with Bart and Miss Bigot. So I think for what you're talking about there, I would give that a D10, but because of the way that you have worded it with the twist, I'm going to give you a D12.
An 11.
Okay, I got one of those two numbers.
Again?
Again.
My gosh.
Literally. I need to make myself some new dice or dig out the many various old D8s I have. So no problem. Bart does that. You wrap the bandage around your head. You twirl in the street. There are some noises, and those of you in the streets are probably mainly misfit at this point. See a lot of people looking at Bart with a confused view, but then you start going off the street. It's a little bit. You stagger a little bit, but no problem. You head in that direction. It probably takes you about half an hour to get to where you're going to, and the two of you arrive. As you're going along, there's a lot of people giving Miss Bigot funny looks because that just the way Miss Bigot moves makes everybody uncomfortable. But you get to this well that's down an alleyway beside a bar, beside a pub, and you kind of you butt up against the edge of the well, and you can't go any further forward without maneuvering.
Well, well, well. Look what we have here, Bart.
Bart looks over. Looks like something either went down that well, or was dropped down there. He looks over. One of his eyes almost falls out of his head. He pushes it back in. Can
Can
you
you
see
still
down in the
see
well?
if your eye is not in your head?
It's very, very long sight there. I'm nearsighted when my eyes are out, but when I pop them back in, it's back to normal.
So if I took it with me, you could see what I see?
Well, no, because it's got to stay connected. You see, hold on. He pulls his eye out, and it's connected to the optic nerve. He goes, "See the stringy thing here? That's got to
Oh.
stay connected." He pops it back in.
As he pulls it out, there's a cockroach sort of balanced on the back of the eyeball, and as you see it, it kind of goes and it puts the eyeball back in.
Well, Miss Begot will watch. Bye.
And they will just start to climb down the well to see what's at the bottom.
No worries. Actually, by the way, if you just want to refer to Miss Begot as a she, that's fine. They're written as a they, but I'm
I
not.
kind of go over all,
Yeah.
Pronouns.
Yeah.
They answered all of them.
Yeah. So whatever's comfortable, don't worry about it. You don't need to correct yourself. It's just whatever works. So you absolutely, in the same way as you see gargoyles attached to buildings, almost as if Miss Begot becomes part of the well, and with really shanky stop-go motion starts moving down the inside of this well. It doesn't take you a huge amount of time, but it is quite a deep well. There are a few bits jutting out here and there, a few bricks that are missing, a lot of mold, but none of this really affects you because you're a gargoyle. You're meant to be on these kind of surfaces. And as you get to the bottom, you see a bloated form in the water. Some sort of strands of bandages, sort of almost like fronds, almost like sort of real wiry moss and pond scum kind of coming out from that form.
Okay, this is gross.
And they'll call up to Bart.
The mummy body is here.
Is he talking?
Great.
Good question. And Miss Begot will submerge their face into the water, the gross, gross water, and look to see if they can find the face of the mummy.
No problem. You do that looking to one side. You can you do see the outer covering of the mummy, which is some parts of it. Again, some of the bandages are coming away. As you're doing this, you're feeling the water of this well entering sort of some of the tubules in your body and then coming out the other end, because you are, of course, a gargoyle, and quite often on buildings that's part of the guttering. But yeah, just the exterior covering. Yes, you can absolutely see the face of this thing.
And I'll reach out to pull it up, and I will try to speak with it.
You can successfully speak with it. It, however, does not respond.
No talking.
They'll call up to Bart, and they're gonna attempt to gather the wrappings to help use that to hold the entire body together as much as they can,
Sure.
and then or take it up in pieces. They're just gonna slowly bring it up to Bart.
Yeah, no worries. The actual the structural parts of the mummy and its wrappings are still connected. It's just the outer parts which are a little bit more free floating. So yeah, no problem. It'll take you a little while, but you can climb up this well back to Bart, and we will shift over to the other three. Again, not a massive amount of time for you to get to where you're going. You arrive outside the Flaming Kookaburra, and it is quite a large building. It was originally a slaughterhouse, but it has been purposed into a bar. Outside there is a sign which is a three-dimensional image of a kookaburra. Something has been done within the mechanism of this, and it is on fire. And there is a sign saying Embassy and Cultural Centre.
Igorina will go in first.
No worries.
Look
You
around
walk-
and see what's here.
You walk in, there's a fair amount of people in here. A lot of people are wearing wide-brimmed hats with corks hanging from the brim. There are a number of display pieces around, display cases around, one of which has a pair of large spiders from 4X stuffed and within the case. There's a lot of native art of 4X, so a large woodwind instrument called a didgeridoo, and that sort of thing. You also notice the bar. A couple of specific things you notice about the bar is that there are some plush animals on sale, and the sign says plush drop bears for sale, $5 each. And the barman, well, it's either the barman or they have a very strange pet thing here, because there is a kangaroo behind the bar.
And Igorina probably like elbows Surly. Well, the great. You don't see that very often. You should capture that.
Place looks jumping. Look at that. Yeah.
The barman, the kangaroo, turns to you and says, "Oh, sorry, mate. Charlie, I think one of the jumping spiders is loose."
Yep. Oh dear. Is that what them plushies are? They dangerous?
Well, they are if you swallow them.
Oh, what if they bite you? Like that hurt?
Well, if a plush bites you, then you've been on some mighty strong drugs, man. You know?
Okay.
What can I do for you? By the way, apologies for the really bad Australian accent to my players and the audience.
Surly, the problem is if you bite it and you die, that means it's poisonous. But if it bites you and you die, it's venomous.
Right.
So I believe he's saying that the plushies are poisonous.
Well, so Mr. Mrs. Madam, sir,
call me Blue.
Blue. Okay, so, well, we and he's kind of like quietly to the bartender only. We are from the Watch. Maybe like might show his little badge. Try to not let anyone else see it just yet.
I'm wearing a watch hat.
Are you? My bad. Okay, that's gonna change. That's gonna change my strategy then. Okay, so he's gonna say really loudly then, like, the Watch is gonna buy a round for anyone who can answer a few questions about a murder victim that we are investigating. Terms and conditions apply. Please see my big friend Cliff, head of public relations, for your round, and please see Miss Igorina over here for answers to questions.
Surly, public relations does not have the budget to buy rounds for all these people.
I said terms and conditions apply. I said it right. You heard me say it.
What are the terms and conditions?
The conditions are you have to actually have funds to buy it.
Okay, that makes sense. Terms and conditions do apply, but everyone can speak with me for your free drink.
There is a surprising lack of response. A couple of people wearing the hats sidle out of the pub. Other people are sitting at their tables, kind of look up. It's a look that would make most people uncomfortable. If it wasn't for the fact that the Thieves Guild, which is a legal guild, and very much involved with making sure excessive theft is dealt with in blunt and spiky manner, this is the kind of people that you would imagine might wait for you to leave, drag you down a dark alley, and rearrange features ad lib, with helping you by removing any funds you may have. That's the feel you're getting from these people. As it is, they're just giving you looks.
Well, he's going to turn around and he's going to bring up his iconographer. You all look spectacular.
and
Um,
then
Faces
Yeah.
turned away immediately.
I almost got him. Okay, so close. Frank, you
get
got to be
Cliff
faster.
blinking.
Too much
Yeah,
drinking.
you get Cliff.
With his eyes closed.
So it seems that you are not interested in having conversations with us, and it might even be that you are interested in us leaving very quickly from this establishment. So the more people have conversations with us, the more quickly we will be leaving this establishment.
A couple of things happen from there. A couple more of them stand up and leave. And the barman sort of goes, "I'm sorry about this. They're really not normally this coyish. They're quite talkative when they get the drink in them, but I think it's they're not really they don't really trust the fuzz. What is it you're looking for?"
I look at my notes and I see the wrong name. Archie Tuttle.
Oh yeah, he was in here a few weeks ago.
Oh,
The Duke.
yes. The Duke is what I meant. How did you knew he has an alter ego?
He talks about it when he's in his cups.
And what was he in here for? What was he working? Was he trying to make a deal?
He met this guy. I didn't really know his name, but he met this guy, and they were quite really going into an intense conversation, quite an earnest conversation in the corner. I did see that money changed hands, and quite a lot of it by the looks of things. And then they went outside.
Did
I
the
believe.
conversation seem aggressive?
No. There was the other guy seemed very pleased with himself, and he was actually in the bar first before Archie turned up.
Do you know who this other guy was?
No, I'd never seen him before in my life. He did take one of our beer mats as a sort of, well, I'm guessing as some kind of thing to add to his collection or something. You know.
Do you remember what he looked like?
Oh, and he sort of scratches his head, and this is a full-sized kangaroo who kind of looks like a deer that's gone to prison and has worked out quite a lot. And he kind of scratches his head, the muscles flexing. Here, Charlie,
Any
do
detail
you
would help.
remember that bloke that was talking to Archie? And from the back, you hear someone going, "Was that the guy that Archie conned into telling him he would conned by telling him he'd do some spells for him, or was that the guy that spoke to Archie that was looking for finding a long lost ring for his mother, or was that the guy that he spoke to about the cat that was outside?" Yeah, I don't know. Which one was the one with the cat outside? I think that was the guy who was most recent. Oh, that'll do. And this individual walks out, quite pale, very thin. Bart would recognize this is a vampire. Igorina would recognize this is a vampire. But this vampire is wearing a vest, shorts, flip-flops, and a jaunty hat with it's actually, instead of corks, it's got sort of coffee ring pull, the equivalent of coffee ring pulls from like instant coffee jars.
My kind of vampire.
Yeah.
Do you remember who Archie was speaking to most recently?
Yeah, there was this bloke who came in. He was quite a large guy. He's a really large guy, I think. I was joking to Blue that he should be called Tiny, and they laugh at that. And he starts describing a person who sounds pretty much, apart from the horrific look on the face, the person you found in that place, Eric Ernwild.
So he's describing
The body.
the victim, not
your murder
Yeah.
victim. Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
Just so we can dot our I's and cross our T's, can you describe Archie for us as well?
Sure. He's sort of average height bloke, quite broad around the waist, if you know what I mean. He's got sort of average hair, not really got a beard or anything. He's got quite large eyebrows.
Average hair, do you mean like he's got an average amount, or like in terms of quality and stylishness?
Oh,
Yes,
question.
both. The thing that really jumps out about him is he's got these. I don't know why he wears them. He's got these big spiked black boots he wears all the time. I think he thinks that they make him look like sexy or something. I don't know. The amount of times we've asked him not to wear them and he sort of almost pulls you towards one of these little sort of alcoves where you've got seats and tables, and in the back of the alcove where the seat bench is, there are little holes that have been dug into the wood by the spikes of these boots. Yeah, see the damage he keeps doing?
That's very inconsiderate.
Igorina very awkwardly just like drops on the floor and like crawls under a little bit to get like a real close view of the holes, because she's remembering the little hole that was in the neck. And so she just, without saying anything, just sort of like drops down and kind of looks close at them, and then like kind of rolls up and looks thoroughly. Frank.
What?
Frank.
What? Oh!
And he shuffles through his icons and he hands the pitch to you. That again shows the hole, but also shows him. So you see like half his face with his nostril, and then right next to it is the hole in it.
And the rose that was on the side of that. And so you just see Igorina just comparing the holes in the wood to the holes in the neck.
Never.
The hole in the neck.
Yeah, the holes. These are large holes. They look like kind of metal spikes that you know how you used to, especially the 80s, get the leather cuffs with the spikes. Yeah. That kind of size of spike. But there's little flecks of black paint also embedded in those holes. What you do also notice, however, is there appears to be some kind of reptile underneath the table, kind of merged in color with the table, and it kind of looks at you, blinks, and then fades out.
Oh, hello there.
One eye blink.
And Igorina just winks back at it.
No worries. From the bar, Blue, the kangaroo, says to... so the only people who haven't really been doing anything at the moment are Cliff, Misbegotten, and Bart. Actually, Misbegotten and Bart aren't here. So Cliff, Blue turns to you and says, "Can I interest you in one of these?" And he picks up one of these plush drop bears. I mean, literally, it's a teddy bear drop bear. Quick question. Does anybody not know what I mean by a drop bear? Because there are people who genuinely don't.
The cryptid, right?
It's actually an Australian joke on tourists about koalas or versions of koalas, which are lethal drop bears that drop hop and attack you, to attack your head.
Oh.
It's the benefit of being married to an Australian at one point in my life. I heard all about the drop bears.
Oh yeah.
Well, now I know
yes,
what it is.
I
So
would
thank you.
love one as long as they're reasonably priced.
Yeah, $5, mate.
Oh, the public relations budget is stretched quite thin right now, but I believe I have personal funds.
I don't care where the funds come from, Matt. Colbert?
It's not venomous.
No. It wouldn't do you any good to eat it. Well, actually, you're a troll. You could probably get away with it, you're eating it. But for these guys, and he gestures to the rest of your compatriots, it probably wouldn't be very good for them. But that's mainly because it's not meant for eating.
Yeah, so I'd pay for the drop bear, and then holding my new plushie, like in the crook of my arm, I'd turn to Igorina and Surly. Well, I don't know about you two, but I'm beginning to think that we misidentified our victim and Archie might still be alive.
Right, that's a fancy piece of detective work there, Cliff. Out of curiosity, do you know where we could maybe find Archie? We have some very interesting news to convey. He's not in any trouble. Not in any trouble. Is there
He's
anywhere?
alive.
But Cliff, very nice, Cliff. It's yes. So he's very much alive, and we are very interested in conversing with him. Yes, his aunt was brutally murdered, and he is the beneficiary. So, right.
That's terrible. Well, unless
No,
you
it's
was on
a
like-
significant sum, in fact.
Well, it's not about them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It gives you a look, and getting a look from a kangaroo is probably fairly scary.
He smiles back.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to check my notes. I'll tell you what. Sorry, your name was?
Me? I am Constable
Surly
Surly
Underhand.
Underhand, since it's been said multiple times already, and there's no point in trying to pretend otherwise.
And this
I-
is Igorina, and I am Constable Cliff.
Right. Yes.
Okay, cool. I will check my notes, and I'll check with Charlie, and I'll check with Mum, and if we can find any details about that, because I'm fairly sure we've called for a cat to drop him off at home at some point, but that'll be possibly in some of the receipts. I'll get that sent to the watch house for you, unless there's somewhere you think you're going to be before that we can.
Is there
drop
any
it off.
possible way we could, get you to speed it up? Constable Cliff here has access to the watch slush funds. If he could perhaps donate it to your preferred charity or your coffers, whatever it is you prefer. Anything to just speed it along. It looks as though we've kind of emptied out the place, so I'm guessing you don't have as much work to do now, if that's possible.
It's not about how much work I've got, because Mum really doesn't do that much these days. And he's kind of sort of, there's a momentary wince as he realises what he says and kind of looks sort of toward where there might be an upstairs. No, I'm golden. But our receipts aren't that well organised. So that's what's going to take us time to go through, even if we all kind of just got involved, if you know what I mean. So we'll let you know as soon as we got anything, and then maybe either you come back later on, or we'll get that to the watch house and they can get it to you. It's not about us doing it right now or not. It's about actually digging through and find the information.
I see. I understand. Okay. Well, that seems perfectly reasonable. Does that seem perfectly reasonable there, Cliff?
Yes, because the fund for the slushy party has already been spent. So there actually wouldn't be any funds to disperse.
Can I interest you in a job there?
I mean, I don't have any more funds in the public relations budget, but I believe I have some personal funds.
While Igorina is under the table, she's looking in like the cushions to see if there's anything spare here. There might happen to be a coin or two that's slipped out from someone's coin purse.
I rolled a dice. You look through the gaps between them. You find a bottle top, which for a moment excites you because it's roughly the right size and shape. You find a half a peanut, and you find the husk of a spider down the back, where it's sort of shucked off its shell, or shucked off its previous skin.
Well,
It's quite impressive. I mean, it's real. It's the full exterior husk of a spider that's been left. So it's actually quite impressive and quite. It's about sort of that sort of size.
Why? And as she just always does whenever she sees something interesting, she just sort of shoves it in Surly's face, expecting that he's also going to find it interesting and want to take a picture of it.
He does, but you did just shove a giant spider husk in his face, so that's going to take a moment to get over.
Oh, good.
Oh, okay.
Hey, wait. Aren't spiders venomous? Poisonous. Do you get a lot of these there, Blue?
What in 4X? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And he points to the case with the two sort of spider mounted spider corpses.
They like the venomous sort.
Oh yeah.
Like really bad. It'll
Look, melt
kill
your
you
face
and
off,
such.
mate. Melt
Yeah.
your face off, mate.
And he quickly goes through like his pictures to see if the face of the corpse that we found was melted off. As he's looking through, melted face. Okay. Did Archie ever take a particular interest in the spiders?
Nah, he was a bit freaked out of people, but to be honest, he never liked them.
Yeah.
Yeah, typical whinging Pom.
Okay. Melted face. Okay.
So you get to the photographs of the corpse, the few that there are of him, mainly because as you took a photograph of this particular piece, he just happened to be in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's not a single direct picture of the corpse.
And it's just a look of a rictus of horror, but not melted.
Okay. All right.
Well, maybe we can rule out them as suspects then. The spiders, that is.
That makes sense.
Perhaps we should rendezvous with Constable Bart and Constable Misbegotten Ampersands.
They'll need to know about this. They will.
You feel a whisper in the side of your ear, and you see a little cockroach there on your ear there, Cliff, going, "It's Detective Bart, not Constable Bart. Get his rank right." And then it scurries off.
How'd you get out of the pouch? And I start trying to put him back in the pouch.
As you're putting it in the pouch, you notice two others are climbing down your leg. And one of them has the bottle and seems to be heading towards the bar.
Well, they're not on the job, so that's their prerogative if they wish.
Okay.
Heading off to Detective Bart and Constable Misbegot if we could find them.
No worries.
sounds
So
good.
where would Bart and Misbegot head to after the
I think Bart's actually not done with this mummy yet. He, you see him look down and he goes, "Misbegot, hold this for me." And once again, he pulls his left eye out, clips the optic nerve, puts the eyeball in Misbegot's hand, leans down over the mummy's body, plucks its desiccated eyeball out, pulls it up, knots the optic nerve back together, pushes it in his head, and he's going to use the watch because he's watching.
Nice.
Better happening to me than to you. And the law, being the law of life and death, is more of a guideline, really. And he's going to try to see who it was through the mummy's eyes that was carrying the mummy and dumping it in the well.
Okay, cool. What Misbegot sees as he does this, as he pulls the eye of the mummy out, attaching it, at the back of that, there's a small beetle that goes. And you've got a little cockroach on top of the other eyeball. But you push it in, and you concentrate, and you start. To begin with, you almost feel dizzy. You know, you've not eaten enough, you've had a bit too much to drink, that sort of level of dizziness. And then almost there's it feels like there's a wind, a small tornado starts whipping around you, and then there's almost like a sand within that tornado as it whips around your vision. And within that, you see an image, mostly of someone's back, sort of around the sort of near the waistline, as obviously put sort of over the back, and the head is facing his back. Lots of black, lots of velvet, a little bit of leather. And as he kind of gets dumped into the well, there's a brief snapshot as head goes back and down of a extremely well-dressed individual wearing leather and velvet, lots of black, just absolutely everything matches. Everything is top notch stylistically. Even all the weapons and the belt of the throwing knives and all that stuff, everything matches. Everything looks just so. And where the face should be, there appears to be almost a silver mask, little eye holes, and again, everything exactly just so stylish.
And he slams the back of his head and pops this new eyeball out. And as it's dangling, he cuts it free, tosses it in the well, and then holds out his hand for Miss Begot to give him his own eye back.
Here you go.
Ties it back into place and pops it in his head. Right. Oh, that gives me a headache.
Pigeon?
Hmm?
As Miss Begot sort of lifts up a half-eaten pigeon.
No. I couldn't eat another thing.
As they scarf the rest down.
So the fella who brought the mummy here and dumped him, he was dressed to the nines in black leather and velvet and matching weapons and throwing knives, wearing a silver mask. Didn't recognize him, but I know you see everything. Does that ring a bell with you, Miss Begot?
That's a good question.
And this Miss Begot is going to see if they can recall ever seeing silver masks within their eternal watch of
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries. So I'm going to just put the question out again because, just to get people used to the system. What traits do you want to pitch?
I would like to pitch doing nothing is not the same as not doing anything. And so she'll have time where she's just perched on a building and appears to be doing nothing, but she's actually paying close attention as a designated noticer to people and things and gossip. Because Miss Begot is a little bit of a gossip.
No problem. I was originally going to only give you a D10 because the first trait you were mentioning, the not doing anything is staying still is not. You know the one.
Yeah.
Was good, but wasn't quite perfect. But then the other thing she said is D12.
Okay, so we're doing D10. Okay,
D12.
D12.
Oh,
I was going to give you a D10, but with the rest of your description and other traits. Normally, there would be a variety down to D4, but so far everything that people are pitching is well within their wheelhouse. So
I got a 9 again.
Okay, I got a 6, so no problem. You think about it. My mind's eye is seeing Miss Begot kind of stop, think for a second, climb on top of the well onto the roof of the well, the pitched roof, sort of sit there in gargoyle mode, just trying to use that as to get into the right mind frame. And after a moment, you kind of silver mask. Occasionally, not very often. You've seen a few individuals with silver masks. The dress style, you've seen a lot of people, not as in hundreds or more, but a good 2-3 dozen. And what this brings into your mind, is the Assassin's Guild. This sounds like someone from the Assassin's Guild, which again, for those not familiar with Discworld, is a completely legal entity. Lord Veterinary made the Thieves and Assassin's Guilds completely legal, but they had lots of frameworks as to how they had to work, a maximum amount of acceptable crime, and they were required to keep the crime down to the level that was acceptable.
I see. And as Miss Begot starts to exit out of their stiff gargoyle mode, they kind of cough up some pigeon feathers and turn to you.
Assassin's Guild, perhaps the clothing.
Well, that's an interesting pickle. We need to find that assassin and cite him, because killing a dead person is not within the assassin's guidelines. So this mummy disposal is outside of their purview. And then he grabs a cockroach out of his ear and he goes, Timmy, go find Constable Underhand and bring him to the well.
Okay, boss. Any idea where he is?
Flaming Kookaburra, do not tell him don't tell him the boy fell down the well.
Okay. Sketches off. I'm going to roll a dice on a roll of a 1. Actually, I'm going to say a roll of an 8 because I've been rolling a lot of ones. On a roll of an 8, something happens to Timmy. Nope. There isn't a wagon or a troll that goes spit. No worries. So we'll go back to the other 3. So where would you be looking for Inspector Hamrahan, or Detective Hamrahan, rather, and Miss Bigott? Where would the first place you would look?
What was your idea, Cliff? You're the one who had the idea to go find him. So where do you think
we
we're
didn't
headed?
tell you where we were going.
Yeah.
We just went.
We didn't know. We
didn't know. I suppose heading back to the scene of the crime?
We can just do what he does.
And then he's going to like prick his arm a little bit, and then he's gonna try to like rip a part of his clothing off, wrap it around his eyes.
I've seen him do this before. This is probably it. This is gonna work. No problem. Okay, here we go. And then, okay, guys, spin me around.
And it's just like
I spin him.
Yeah, and then he will. He's going to try to find Cliff. He has absolutely no traits that would probably work particularly well. However, he is he's doing everything with a smile, so he's enjoying first day. So yeah,
no problem. So I'm going to say that's a D4.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. It's terrible. This is terrible. Oh goodness. All right.
What fun.
Yeah. Got a 3.
No problem.
Terrible.
You spin him. Surly starts moving. Very much the staggering gait of someone who's been spun. Can't see anything. Is feeling incredibly dizzy. Your knee hurts when you hit a table. You bounce off of that and hit the door frame. You bump into somebody who's quite tall, but quite thin, and a deep voice, almost heavy Gothic letter script speech says, "You should be careful. Some of the things around here, you'll have your eye out."
What? Okay. What sort of things?
You don't hear anything more, and neither of you two saw or heard anything.
I probably didn't see anything because I was following Surly's cue, and I covered my eyes and I spun around.
Surly has had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
And you look up, and it's like a pair of antlers or something like that on the wall.
So he takes I guess he'll take the blindfold off at that point. His like head's like right between the antlers, like one's going down one temple, one's going down the other.
Yep. And then Cliff impacts you from behind as he's also covering.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. I still can't see you there. This is Surly, right?
No, it's not.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm reporting
Constable
you.
Cliff.
I'm reporting you.
Do you know anyone named Archie?
You mean Archie Cunningham?
No, the other one.
Oh, no, then I don't. Take your dang hands off your eyes, Cliff. It's me.
Oh, you got me.
And you did too. Look at this. We're all here.
He's got like probably like a big welt from where he smashed into the wall.
Ooh, you shouldn't have done that.
I didn't do it. You did it to me.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Here, have a plushie. And I give him one of my 2 plushies.
Well, okay.
It's a decent-sized teddy bear koala with sharp, pointy teeth and claws.
He's like, he's gonna like squeeze it a little bit. Is it really plushy, or is this like, is there anything inside of it, or she shakes it up a little bit?
Okay. How lucky would it be lucky for you to have something inside it or not have something inside it?
I think I have something because that's more interesting. So I think that would be lucky.
Okay, no problem. So D8. Sorry, D8. Eight or higher. So yes, there is something inside it that is. There's a thing inside it that resists your squeezing.
And he's just going to try to like kind of tear open and see what it is.
No, don't eat it. They're poisonous.
I'm not gonna eat it.
This when you tear it open, the thing itself inside is probably about this sort of size, and it's really solid. And when you open it up, you actually find, well, your first thought is that this is a battle croissant, a variation of dwarf bread.
No.
But it's just the design is just slightly odd and has weird sort of symbology. To Jeff, think native Australian Aboriginal art.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Carved into it. But this looks like a version of dwarf bread. Again, for those not familiar, dwarf bread is almost like stone. It nourishes you because so long as you know that there is dwarf bread, you never need to eat because you have bread with you. But it's often used as a weapon because it's like stone.
Why would anyone put this inside of a plushie? This doesn't seem like a particularly suitable place for it, but now that I have it, I'm just going to put that right in there. And now we've got dinner.
Or weapon.
Or weapon.
Igorina's
Or both.
Oh, you're still here.
She's I almost imagine we started at sort of like a top of a hill and she's just watching them like pinball their way down this hill with their eyes closed. And she's just sort of like getting back. And so I'm trying to do this like stitch in time saves 9 thing. And so what she's trying to do is also closing her eyes. But she just sort of takes out her needle and thread, and she's sort of picturing in her mind Bart and Misbegot, and just trying to stitch in front of her, and hoping that when she takes the stitch out, she sort of sees what's behind them.
Okay, so I think that is going to be a D10.
Okay. That's a 3.
Okay, this is a fail. With a fail, because I rolled a 6. With a fail, what would normally happen is you would get a consequence. Now you're going down. I think can we all accept that you're going down a hill? You've left the bar and you're just going down a hill. Yeah. No problem. So going down a hill without really paying attention has a chance of you doing yourself a mischief. It's not necessarily going to be really bad. I would say this is a minor consequence. One of the weird things with the level of consequences are minor, major, and exceptional, but the lowest level of consequence is inconsequential, which is just kind of.
She could spend a point of luck to move that down to inconsequential, right?
Yeah. So you've got 2 options with luck. Either you, as Aaron says, you spend 1 point of luck and you reduce the consequence down to the next level down, which can go, if it's an inconsequential level, you can, with a point of luck, bring it down to 0 and not have any consequence. Or another member of the party can spend a point of luck and assist you. How that works is they suggest a trait that they might use, and they roll against the same target number. I don't re-roll the dice. And if they succeed, then they assist you in doing the task you're trying to do. If they fail, the consequence is made 1 level worse for both of you. So how do you guys want to handle it? Or you could just accept the thing as is, your choice.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that I had necessarily earned luck yet.
You start with 4 points. You start with 4 points.
Okay, perfect. I think just because it's interesting, I will take the consequence.
Okie dokie. So what I'm going to say is, as you're doing that, you kind of your mind is not on what you're doing, and you stumble on the cobbles, and you have the consequence twisted ankle. As you land, you sort of bump your head slightly. Nothing is special, and just for a second, you hear a voice saying, "The detective is." What was it you told Timmy to tell them?
Bring them back to the well.
The detective is at the well. You just hear this whispering voice.
Oh, well, Well,
And then a cockroach sort of scuttles a bit further into view. Almost tug of the forelock.
Hello there. Would you like to walk yourself back, or would you like a ride back?
I've got to show you where to go, so probably best if I walk.
Okay, hold on. I have to gather the other two, and so she'll go over and like be poking Surly and Cliff. Take the things off your head. We've got the guide.
And you're like poking a different dwarf, and I'm over here. Right, that's not me.
But Cliff was talking to that dwarf.
Surly is just blending into the background. Is just taking shots, just daily life shots. Really kind of dig into the citizens of Ankh-MORPORK.
Sorry. I just apologies. Cliff, are you? Sorry to interrupt. Are you done?
Oh yes, I was just having a conversation with Surly, but we can continue.
That's not Surly. Surly's over there. I don't know who this is. Sorry, sir. Apologies for. Have a good rest of your day.
That would explain why he was so surly towards me.
Also, welcome, Raiders. Jesse Purse Tales, welcome in.
Awesome.
Thank you. The dwarf turns to Cliff and goes, "I remember Coombe Valley," and stomps off. And for those not familiar, there is a famous battle between the dwarves and the trolls in Coombe Valley, which the anniversary is coming up, actually, within game.
I wasn't there. I'm sorry.
The only battle in history known where both sides managed to ambush the other at the same time.
Regroup with Surly and start heading towards the well.
That sounds good.
Where you put your feet? As a cockroach, literally millimeters from your foot, looks up and he's shouting at you.
Yes?
Watch where you're putting your feet.
I look at my feet. Okay. Is there a problem?
You almost stood on me.
You almost stepped on him.
Well, I wouldn't want to do that. If you'd like to ride in my pouch, that'd be fine.
I've got to direct you to the detective?
Okay, perhaps I lift you and you verbally direct us.
I didn't think of that. Half a point of luck, Stephen.
All right.
That was a good idea. And he will get on your palm. Stop trying to bite me, Bubba. As you do this, you all notice that a bunch of other cockroaches are climbing up Constable Cliff, down his forearm, meeting this other cockroach, and they have a bunch of bottles, which...
I only put one in there.
They got some more from the bar.
Sorry to interrupt again, Tales and Myth and Mayhem. Welcome in. Thank you, Raiders.
Thank you.
Hey, welcome.
We're playing Discworld, and our group of watch members who have split the party, as is traditional, have found a number of clues. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Some of them are useful, and some of them are useless. Much like members of the watch, that thin brown smear.
Pretty standard operating procedure, yeah.
So the cockroach, with assistance from the entourage you now have on your palm, although a number of them are looking over to sort of roughly the direction. Actually, no, you're not there yet. As you arrive, they will all look at Miss Bigot and sort of raise their bottles and then look to go over to her. But this thing guides you towards an alleyway about half an hour from the murder victim's house, with a well in it, and you have got the detective, Miss Bigot, and a sodden mummy's body.
The hand that's not holding the cockroaches has all the chiseled notes on there, and I just kind of like shove it in front of Bart and then Miss Bigot. This is everything that we found. Archie is alive, not dead.
Well, he was presumed alive. Our victim was.
Archie is
Eric.
not the victim.
Yes, we know.
Well, now we know.
No.
Eric.
What did you find?
Right. We found the mummy. Not a living, breathing, walking around mum, or an undead walking around, bandaged, groaning mummy. A dead body wrapped in bandages. But after trading eyes with the mummy, I did recognize that it was carried here by a member of the Assassin's Guild with the help of Misbegot.
Did
And
we
dumped in the well.
verify that this isn't like the Duke? Like hidden as a mummy?
Well, it
Was
looks
it-
like a pretty old mummy to me, but
Right. Well,
it could be the Duke's mum as a
The
mummy.
Duke is not actually the Duke. The folks is the.
He's a former
Okay.
Duke.
Well, they said
Duke
it in
is
a
Archie.
way that it might not that it might not be like he's actually a Duke, and he's a con man. Is the sort of the gist of it. So he
Well, it
cons
sounds like-
people out of things.
Sounds like we need to find this Archie, and we might need to talk to the Assassin's Guild and find out who paid them to dump this body. They may also be responsible for the murder of Eric, under someone else's orders, of course.
With all this talk about assassins and all that sort of stuff, Igorina, you start having ruminations because obviously poison, assassins. This seems to
Mhm.
have some kind of tie. So, would you like to pick a trait to roll to see if you can figure out what this poison might be?
Well, let's see. I mean, one of her niches is applied forensics, so that seems like it would fit.
Yeah, I think that's a D12. I'm giving so many D12s.
And I rolled a 12.
I rolled a 3. No problem. I couldn't. There's no way I could roll high enough for you to fail. So no problem. With the mentionings of the Assassin's Guild and your thoughts, the effects of the poison on Bart, the delivery mechanisms of the pinprick, ruminations like cockroaches in Bart's head circle round, and you suddenly. You just get the name of a poison in your head called Janic, Janic, which is a very rare poison, and it affects the facial muscles in death.
So, and just suddenly, like you guys are kind of having this conversation, and Igorina just sort of like steps forward and just like plops herself like right in the middle of everyone. Everyone, I have an idea. And there was the size of the hole and Barth when you ate the stuff, and then I think we forgot about the face and what the face looks like. But if we put all of those things together, I think we have Yannick. And she's expecting that everyone is just going to know what that is when she says it. That's the answer.
You just get a really slow, creepy blink from Miss Begot.
Is that a poison or a venom?
Or a
It's a
person.
poison.
Oh,
It's a-
poison.
It's a poison. It's a right. Yeah, everyone doesn't know all of the things that I know. It is a poison. It's a very particular poison, and I can tell you all about the poison. And she proceeds to tell them all about Yannick.
Are there non-particular poisons, or is each poison by nature its own particular poison?
Also, I think each one is particular, but some are more widely available than others. So, like the poison that people use, and she sort of looks over to Miss Begot. On pigeons, that's lots of people have that one, and it's specific to pigeons, but widely available. This one is also specific, but less widely available.
Well, who would use it? Is it an assassin's poison?
Yes, and it makes the faces. It when you use the thing, it makes the face like that after.
Other than making for a particularly compelling post-mortem composition, is there a particular reason that they would want to contort the face, or is that just a byproduct? Or is that the intention?
I think it's. I mean, when you spend your time killing people all the time, I think sometimes you want a little bit of creativity, and so I think that's what it is. It's like everyone is going to be slightly different, and then when someone who does the work that you do, they see it and they say, "Oh, good job. You did different one this time," because
Like
you slit throats. It's same mark on throat every time. That gets kind of boring.
Or the killer used this little pinprick, stole the mummy, left behind a bandage to make us all think that Eric was murdered by a mummy, and then dumped the mummy's body in a well so we would just think it wandered off. And that Eric was frightened to death and strangled by the mummy.
Well, that
makes sense. That makes sense. That some
They
arithmetic
didn't do a good
there.
job then, because I didn't think that at all.
Well, didn't you talk to people out on the street and no one said they saw a mummy getting dumped?
True, but no one was really watching either. Really, quite an apathetic crowd.
You're usually
Well, it sounds like we need to go to the Assassin's Guild and query them on their recent mission docket and try to track down Archie, the Duke.
Everyone who's looking anywhere near Surly sees Frank climbing back up, having not been noticed that he's exited his little box, carrying little pails of something and loading them into the box before climbing in quickly. And you then start hearing the sound of him mixing up more pigments.
Very nice, very nice.
It's very dutiful. Good old Frank.
It's like a Mary Poppins bag sized little thing that you've got there.
Well, we should.
Miss Bagot, while you guys are all having this conversation, is speaking to the plethora of cockroaches that are on her body. And I would like to use my beloved by animals and being irresistible to inquire from them if they've seen any, like, presuming they told us about the big black boots, like any men, like where they might live, or if they avoid an area where a guy like this stomps around, to try and find where he lives.
It's an interesting idea and I like it. I'm going to reduce it down from what it could be because these cockroaches spend most of the time in Bart.
Oh, true. Okay.
But there is a possibility, so I'm going to
Or
say...
if they have friends that avoid it.
So I'm going to say D10.
Okay. Let's see.
The dice
Great
roll.
cockroach proletariat.
I got a 3.
It's all right. I rolled a 1 again. The dice have gone back into jail.
Gosh.
So you're talking to them. You ask the question, and they sort of turn and talk to one another. One of them is grabbed by Timmy and shaken because he's on the edge of your shoulder, drinking from one of these bottles. Pay attention! The lady's talking. I did have a conversation with a friend of mine, and yeah, there was a foreigner came up ashore a couple of months ago now, and he saw some friends of mine saw this foreigner and the guy with black boots went past him, got into a cart, and then run over this foreigner. He just ran over, cartwheel, dead. Because these big people have no interest, no care. Yeah.
Truly, it's terrible.
Just because we are cockroaches and just because we spent some time in the area of the Unseen University, I mean, to be fair, there is a good side because we do belong to a company, an organisation, a club, if you will, called. So Ref desperately tries to find where he wrote it down. Because he was again repping on the seat by the seat of his pants. Lots of notes. The Magically Adapted Animals of Ankh-MORPORK, which is a club where we meet up. There is the dog Gaspode is a member. The Quoth the Raven is a member. Stop the Pigeon is a member. So, although we have to be a bit careful around Stop because he's sometimes a bit beaky. But we're having conversations. As I say, we did some. There was a. Oh, where was it? There's a place. Another cousin of mine said there's this weird place which has spiders in it that they went to.
Okay. Did they mention where the spiders are?
They're in glass boxes.
Oh, okay. Glass boxes, spiders.
And like Miss Begot is saying this out loud just in case no one else is hearing.
And all the cockroaches are looking at Bart with a they're kind of creeping around Miss Begot's shoulders so that they're kind of looking at Bart, but it's like, don't worry about it. And they're kind of taking cover in little nooks and crevices. Jeff, you were about to say something.
Yeah, so hearing Miss Begot and Ampersand say that,
We saw some spiders in glass boxes. Look at that. It's pretty common. Seems there's a lot of places around here that's got spiders in glasses. That's true.
I don't know about that, but they said the foreigner, who presumably is the man with the big black boots, came ashore a few months ago, right? And he killed a foreigner who they ran over with a wheel, so,
and she just kind of like gives you a really awkward blink because she doesn't want to imply that it's another like cockroach or something of some kind.
But there are other members of their club that I could perhaps speak to learn more information.
Does it?
That is interesting.
Miss Begot, Surly, do you think the glass cases with the spiders that Timmy and those reprobates, drunk cockroaches who know very well they should be back inside of me by now, have mentioned, do you think it's the same place that you are the bar you were just at?
Well, it would be kind of coincidental if the very person who we're investigating the death of and this black leather fellow with spikes who was also there because Igorina found little tiny holes in the walls. So it's probably the same. It's got to be the same place. Has to be the same place.
Classic mysterious man in tavern.
Now, as the ref, I'm happy for you guys to misunderstand things in character, but just to be clear, out of character, the guy with the black boots was not described as having all the really fancy clothes. There's an individual who's wearing fancy clothes. It is not the same person.
Yeah, that's presumably the assassin.
You're welcome to in character think that, but just for the players' clarity.
Because there's someone in black leathers and a silver mask, and then there's Archie who has the spiked boots, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as I say, if you want to think that in character, no problems.
And Archie's the foreigner who came ashore a few months ago.
Yes, the former Duke.
Yeah. Who he reached out to Eric to acquire the ability to come move here, if I recall correctly.
You got a letter from Veterinary giving him permission to move here.
Oh,
the
Veterinary.
The patrician.
Yeah.
Well, let's go talk to the assassins or find Archie.
Yes.
Okay.
Sounds good.
No problems. So Assassin's Guild first? No problem. We fade to you arriving at the Assassin's Guild It wouldn't have taken you very long to get there. The Assassin's Guild is a very impressive Gothic frontage. Lots of marble. There's a brass plaque proudly stating the Assassin's Guild. It's been polished to within an inch of its life. There is a bell pull outside, the classic bell pull, and sort of opening hours, all that sort of stuff. And there are a couple of there's this a boot scraper and a spot where a boot scraper is missing, and the boot scraper that is here is the mirror to the death boot scraper that was in the victim's collection room.
Ooh.
I have a weird idea. I don't know. Let me know if I can't do this. But Miss Begot would like to crawl up onto the building, and then doing nothing isn't the same as not doing anything. Kind of commune with the building to see, go into gargoyle mode and see if they can see what the building has seen of comings and goings.
Okay. I like that idea. Now, there is a mechanic within the game where when a player comes up with something that is just off the wall, 1,000 to 1 chance, just interesting. It's called the 1,000,000 to 1 rule, and the ref can go, that just works. So I think this is 1,000,000 to 1, and it works. So you scale the building, you adopt a position within the guttering, and you commune with the building. This is probably going to take a little while, probably 5-10 minutes, I would think.
Yeah, and Miss Begot will stay here while you guys do your thing, and they'll do this.
So what do you got? What the rest of you want to do whilst Miss Begot is doing this? Miss Begot has just started climbing up the wall.
I think talk to whoever's at the front desk. I'm assuming they have a front desk.
Detective Hamrahan would be. We need to speak with your contracts department, the day manager, concerning execution of an illegal contract. There are fines to be levied.
No problem. So currently the door is shut, but you pull the bell pull. It is, of course, completely silent. And a short while later, the door opens, and a gentleman dressed very well in black, not the same quality or the same degree. The only thing he's carrying on him that could possibly be a weapon is he has like the old bolo ties that quite often were seen in country music clubs, certainly in Great Britain. It looks it's a metal, very fine, little central sort of decorative thing, but that looks like it unclips. But apart from that, doesn't look anything at all like an assassin. Don't even think of it. Take away the thought that this person could be an assassin. Can I help you? And then you explain what you're saying. Oh, that is most disturbing. A fine, you say? What could you give me some information on that?
Absolutely. We need to speak with the assassin that was contracted for, and he gives the details of the murder, who then subsequently killed a corpse and dumped it in a well. And we all know the Assassin's Guild can legally kill the living and can legally kill the undead, but you can't kill the dead. So we need to speak with him to clarify his assignment and then determine whether or not fine should be levied. Him or her. I apologize for my genderisms.
He smiles, and it doesn't touch his eyes, but he smiles, and there's a small flourish. Very much the don't worry about it kind of vibe from this guy. Now, to be clear with Aaron, you're giving him the details of the victim.
I'm giving him the details of Eric, the murder victim, details of the mummy, and details of the assassin who dumped the mummy's body. Basically saying the murder of Eric is within the assassin's purview, but the murder of the mummy, who was dead and not undead, we need to question him about that to make sure that he did not break any laws by killing a corpse.
Understood. The other three of you doing anything at this point as part of this, or are you just sort of being the good watch backdrop for the detective?
I would be right behind Bart flashing my winning smile, my diamond smile.
Say that Igorina would be trying to use her forensics and look at this boot scraper to see like if it looks like it was like with great strength, it just kind of ripped up, or if it was, you know, kind of somewhat of a more neatly removed kind of a thing.
No problem. And Jeff?
Surly's going to use his blend into the background and take some, take a couple shots. Take a couple iconography shots without, really being noticed too much.
No worries. Okay, so we'll handle the other guys first, because obviously once they're doing their thing, you'll be going to be brought in. Checking the boot scraper, you think these things are meant to be removable. Not massively easily, but meant to be removed, because obviously sometimes you need to take it off to polish it and replace parts and all that sort of thing. But there's definitely some kind of, certainly a little bit of force, probably something the equivalent of a pry bar or something needed to be used. And there's actually a dent in the concrete where that was done. So yeah, I mean, apart from that, it looks, apart from the mirrored aspect, the other one that's there looks pretty much identical.
This is definitely where this came from. Okay. Good to know.
No problem. Cliff, you do your winning smile. Yeah. There is the person that Bart is talking to doesn't seem to be phased by this at all. Doesn't seem to be massively impressed either, but it's certainly no problem. And Surly, you snap off a few photographs. You get a voice. Frank is quite sensible, and you can tell when things are slightly more on the down low, and you kind of just about hear a voice going, "I've only got so much black."
Use blue instead. We'll make a note of it later.
And oh, you mean like the photographs of that lady that you took? What?
You weren't supposed to talk about that. That was
sorry.
That was for aesthetic purposes only.
Oh, it was very arty. And Garrett goes into what he's doing. In the meantime, the chap you're talking to, Bart, if you'd like to follow me, I will take you to processing and see if we can find out what's going on here. Leads you in. He doesn't seem to be too bothered whether anyone joins you out of the quad. So if Cliff, Igorina, Surly want to come in behind, not bothered at all. Are you all going in?
As the head of public relations, I feel like it would be my responsibility to fill out all the paperwork.
No problems. Igorina?
Sure. Yeah.
No
I'll go ahead.
As the last of you steps in, which we'll just say is Igorina because last person to speak, the door closes silently behind you. It's the only bit that isn't sudden is that last bit as the catch clicks into place. And you're led through a gothic marble hell. It's very attractively done. It's really artful. There are lots of pictures of people with little brass plaques, the name of the individual and the date of their inhumation. There's a knife that's been in a glass case, the weapon that inhumed, and it has the name of one of the previous patricians on the brass plaque. And he leads you through to an office, not a person's office, but it's an office with lots of what's the word I'm looking for? I lose words. I should say this. Records. Thank you.
Nice.
I hate words. Words are hard. And he starts flicking through them. This is interesting. I can't find an entry for an Eric Enwald. We don't seem to have an inhumation order for that. Right. I think the best bet. I tell you what I'll do. I'll take you through to speak to Lord Downey. And whilst he may have more information, and whilst that's happening, I shall look through the records a little more for you. And he leads you not very far to another office. This one is, the door is shut. When it opens, it's like a 1930s gentleman's lounge. Marble flooring, roaring fire, big desk with a big chair behind it. There's a couple of sort of sofa lounges on one of the other walls. Bookcases full of books. Very dark ambiance, and a massive window with curtains which are artfully displayed across these windows. And sitting behind it is an older gentleman, probably in his 60s or 70s, white hair, absolutely beautifully dressed in tailored velvet, black, of course. And he looks up. Yes, can I help you?
My lord, we are investigating a case, and there have been some irregularities with an assassination. Or not an assassination. That we're trying to get to the bottom of, because God knows I don't want to put anything in my report that would indicate that a member of your guild, made a mistake. So I want to make sure that's not what happened. And then he explains not telling him how he saw the assassin, but explaining how the assassin was dressed, the silver mask and the very fine velvet black clothes and the weapons, and how he took a corpse, and dumped it in a well. Now, the problem is, sir, of course, that, as I mentioned to your front desk person, you can kill the living, you can kill the undead, that's within your purview, but you can't kill a corpse. So I need to understand what happened there so I can make sure that this doesn't become a bigger issue in my report than it needs to be. You understand bureaucracy.
Oh, I understand bureaucracy, yes. This is a little concerning, although I think the information regarding the death of a corpse is a legal grey area. Please,
That's
take a seat.
Absolutely is, sir, without a doubt. But that's why I don't want to put it in my report. I don't want the lawyers having to come talk to your lawyers, and then it becomes an entire thing. I'd rather just be able to make it a non-issue in the report. But I've got to do my due diligence before I can write it up.
And Constable Cliff would slide forward a bundle of papers that's just a records request forms that have been filled out. Because Cliff is simple but not stupid, and bureaucracy is simple and stupid, but he can still do it.
No worries. He looks down, one eyebrow creeps up his forehead, looks at them. Very good. We will look into this. I believe my assistant is looking into the specifics. Out of character, did you mention a mummy specifically, or just a corpse?
A mummy. He gave the full details. He would be forthright with the Lord, understanding his importance within the framework of the city.
That's interesting. I don't suppose, noticing the box on Sir Leanderhand's chest, I don't suppose you have any imagery of either, do you?
I've taken extensive crime scene iconographs. So Frank, now's our time.
And so he'll start collecting whatever might be relatively appropriate. Yeah.
No problem. So you hand over a bunch of them, and he starts going through them. No. A rose, very nicely painted. No. There's his head moves sort of to one side, looking at this photograph, and sort of moves it slightly so that only really Surly and he can see it. And it looks like a picture of a window from the outside, lit, and there is a vaguely feminine shape, sort of the image of basically
That was for a different case. Sorry, my lord. Let me just put that there.
Understood. Eventually, he finds one which is the sarcophagus. I don't think you have photographs of the mummy, unless you took
No,
some.
I never went down into the well. No.
No problem. No problem. The mummy had actually been pulled from the well. It was lying on the floor outside the well.
No, I don't think I did. I never said I did.
No problem. But he looks at the photographs of the sarcophagus. A jelly baby and sarcophagus. We actually had a member of the Assassin's Guild from the jelly baby. He returned as King Tepikaimon the 20-somethingth. I don't remember his number. We did learn a lot during his reign. This looks to be the sarcophagus of King Tepikaimon the 18th. Although my understanding of our former member, due to events that occurred during the very short reign that he had, all of these should have been. And he tries to use a word he's not familiar with. Recycle dare. I believe that means making something into something else. I don't know the full terminology. This is most disturbing. It's the mummies should no longer exist since the end of our member's kingship, when he passed it on to his sister Patracy, the King Patracy the First. And again, there's a little bit of a look on his face of the trying to get that fitting into his head. I believe when they destroyed his father's pyramid, all of the pharaohs prior, all of their pyramids, all of the mummies ceased to exist or were reduced. The life force left them. So where this thing came from, I'm unsure. I'm fairly sure
actually, and I would cycle through some of those photos. This was made in Kletch.
Oh, yeah, that's. I was about to suggest that possibly the Jelly Baby Embassy might be interested, but I think that might just cause more political problems than is needed. As this conversation is being had, once the photographs are dealt with, he actually is moving around whilst he's talking, and he goes over to a cupboard, opens it up, pulls out a bottle, and kind of, with a look of inquiry, looks towards you. And you can see there are small glasses.
Not on duty, sorry.
Yes, please.
No, he fingers in 3 of the glasses, pulls them out, erases them on the table, pours a shot of each. It's good brandy. A very good brandy. Expensive brandy.
That's very, very nice of you. You're giving us information and also giving us a drink. That's very polite.
Very polite to offer a drink, yes. Unfortunately, it would be unethical to drink on duty.
What if you're thirsty? And he takes.
Exactly. I'm quite thirsty. Yes, thirsty. Thirsty indeed.
That is where Cliff would please.
Bart sucks it in, rinses it around his mouth, spits it back out in the glass. That was almost worth swallowing. Thank you, Lord.
Just like that. You got it.
There's a look of him being slightly disturbed at that visage, but he nods politely. It is within the being polite to one's guests is always a good thing. You never know when a guest will become a customer, he says, and then a nervous laugh. About this time, the door opens and in walks the individual who you initially spoke to. Have you found anything? Yes, my lord. We have no records of an Eric Enwild as a target of inhumation. We do have a inhumation order for Duke Enwild of Eretor, but not Eric Enwild. The spelling is quite similar, however.
I do have to say, Eric Enwild was getting the mail of the Dukes delivered to his address by mistake as well. So Is it the possibility that one of your assassins made a similar error as the almost infallible Ankh-MORPOK post office did?
And
It should not be the case. However, we do have some juniors. Sorry, Jeff.
Do any of those juniors happen to use as their primary means of dismissal a poison called John?
Janek.
What was
Janek. Janek.
What she said?
Oh, Janet, that's a very old-fashioned poison. I don't know. And again, he turns to his the individual who he spoke to. The ref is failing to remember the name of Lord Downey's assistant because brain like Swiss cheese. But he turns to him and says, "Do you know of anyone using Janek?" And again, he sort of bows towards you. I will check, and he slides out the door. This is going to take 5 or 10 minutes. Shall we just toilet time that, and just when he comes back, or is there anything you guys want to do in the meantime?
I don't think so.
Yep.
I think we're
Yep, we're just
seeking that
waiting.
information.
Just waiting for
primarily.
his info, yeah.
No problem. He comes back in. I've checked, and it would appear that the only individual who has used Janek, well, for a good few years, is Jarth, one of our newly minted assassins. He actually is the individual who has been given the job of inhuming the Duke.
Well, then, I think we need to speak with Junior Assassin Joff about his most recent assignment so we can clear up the issue with the court, with the mummy.
Yes, I'm afraid Jarth is not actually here at the moment, but we can give you the Duke's address. Which he apparently has rooms in Mrs. Cake's hostelry. Mrs. Cake being a medium bordering on small.
That's very helpful for thank you for all of your information. I think we should probably keep this investigation moving along.
My lord, do we have permission to question your junior assassin, Joff, if we find him at the Duke's, so we can clear up this paperwork?
Absolutely. I cannot guarantee his willingness to talk, as he will not necessarily recognize you.
Well,
or
could you
yours.
perhaps give me a badge or a note that I could pass to him to let him know that you've authorized this discussion?
I can absolutely do that. I can't guarantee him reading it first, but I can do that. And he turns to his
That's fair.
assistant. I will get it. I will write it right away. And he turns to his assistant, who nods, takes a piece of paper out, and writes the note. Puts it in front of Lord Downey, who scrawls a signature, and then the assistant rolls it up and passes it to you.
I do have to ask: is it going to be problematic for his ongoing employment with you that he carried out a job and took out the wrong individual?
Dependent on circumstances, he should be fine. We will discuss it with him, and I mean, he will have a job with the Assassin's Guild for the rest of his life.
Good to know. Can
However long that is.
Can we agree that you hold off on any such questioning until we can do our questioning first?
We can agree that.
Much appreciated.
Well then, off to the Duke's.
Problem. So you leave the Assassin's Guild. We'll quickly switch back to Misbegot because I hadn't actually handled that side of things. Ashley, Misbegot is one with the building, and you've seen you can again. It's a similar kind of weird vision to what the one that Bart had. You see a few people entering through the main door. Delivery men, the occasional individual, very richly dressed, doesn't look like an assassin at all. In fact, no one coming through the door looks like an assassin. None of them are dressed in the same fashion. You do, however, have images of people leaving through windows, through grates in the ceiling, through varying other exits and entrances. You never see any assassin actually enter or exit via the door. But you do see an individual with a mask. Actually, let's make a roll for information beyond this. So, again, I think your designated noticer is probably the most likely one, and that's D12, I think.
Okay. That's the D12.
Although you can pitch another one if you want.
No, that works for me. I got an 11.
Okay, I rolled a 2. I couldn't have beaten 11 if I tried. So some of the more recent memories you see an individual, as described by Bart, leaving via one of the roof exits, head to toe in black leather and the other material I mentioned, whose word I've lost. Thank you. And the silver mask. A jaunty step, almost like walking on air as he leaves and goes over varying walkways and planks that have been laid across between buildings, even to the point where he's got a silver dagger which he's kind of tossing in the air as he's going and catching by the tip and then throwing it and catching it by the tip as he's moving along. And a while later you see him return, and the body language is just different. It's agitated, not playing with any weaponry. Shoulders are low. There's a definite feel of annoyance or embarrassment or something like that. And then the next memory along, the last memory, is him going out much more. There's a much more set to his shoulders. He's determined. It's daytime when he leaves the last time. Determined, set to his shoulders, and his fists are clenched as he moves along, not light at all. He's plodding, he's moving with purpose, but very sort of solid steps rather than the more floating method that he did previously. And about this time, the door opens and your compatriots are leaving.
Okay. And would I have been able to determine, like, if it was today that he left again? Or is that asking for too much?
With what you've rolled, I'll say you've got the feeling that it is today that he's left, yeah.
Okay. And when my companions leave, Miss Begot slowly kind of cracks her very sturdy, because it's kind of like when she goes into this mode, she rapidly like gets like moss and stuff that grows upon her, and so she has to like kind of shake some of that off so that their joints can move again, and they'll climb back down and let you know.
He left again, and he seemed very serious. Upset. He fucked up, so to say, and was chewed out. Maybe he was happy dancing before, and then he came back scared, embarrassed, and then he left again, and he's stomping mad.
He must be headed for the Dukes to finish the job. We need to get there before him.
Did you see which way he went?
I mean, from the building, he went that way, but that's it.
Well, we know where the
That's
Duke
a start.
is, so let's see if we can get to where the Duke is. Maybe take some shortcuts, see if we can get there ahead of him. I mean, after all, I lived and died on these city streets, so I know him like the back of my hand.
And Constable Cliff has chiseled features like we've talked about. And on the back of his hand, he literally does have a map of the city chiseled in.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay.
Just see him tracing streets.
So I think what we'll do is we'll treat this as a dice roll, but we'll have Bart, who knows the city streets, as the person doing it, and then anyone who wants to assist can then spend a luck point.
Spend the luck.
You don't have to do it until he's rolled.
Oh, okay.
And if he fails, so you've got the trait. One of the traits is know like the back of your hands.
The trait is I'm a zombie who lived and died on these streets. So
yeah.
So I know these streets.
Yeah.
I've lived and died on them.
I'd say that's a
This
I'd say that's a D10.
I feel like Igorina is trying to like look at the map on Cliff's hands, but it's it's and doing the thing where like you spin the map to see like which direction you're going, and she's trying to like spin his hand around because she's new here, so she really
The
doesn't
most
know her way
annoying auto
around.
rotate.
No
And
problem.
she's trying to like turn that way. No, don't you turn that way. Turn your hand that way. I'm trying to. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, 100%.
So I only got a 6.
That's all right. You got a 3.
Okay.
You're golden. No problem. So, led by Bart, you make your way towards Mrs. Cake's. And when you reach this place, it's probably another 20 minutes, 30 minutes away from where you are currently. So, probably an hour from the victims. When you reach it, the doors are wide open. It's a very much a. If it wasn't for the lack of the white picket fence, it's the white picket fence look. The doors are wide open. There is one of those bead sort of curtains that were very much the rage a couple of decades ago in the doorway. Mrs. Cake, anyone who is local or has been been in Ankh-MORPORK long enough knows well. She is a medium. She does speak with the dead. She is also bordering on small, as she describes it. And she is standing there most distraught. Oh, the watch. Useful. There's someone gone into my house. He's chasing one of my tenants.
And
Oh dear, we will take care of this.
Bart shambles off at a zombie run. Like 28 days later zombies, not George Romero's Day of the Dead zombies.
Those aren't zombies, Aaron. So
That's true. That's true. They're not. That's a good point. They're rabies or whatever the hell.
They're infected by the rage virus. I'm just doing a stupid thing.
Yeah.
Man, I have been schooled. I will hang my head in shame now.
No. What about the rest of you? Are you all going in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
rushing in as
definitely.
fast as the temperature
Yeah,
lets me.
for sure.
No problem. No problem. I think Constable Cliff is probably going to be the last through the door because the temperature is not going to be that low. And as you go past, Mrs. Cake hands you a card. He gave me this.
Oh, well, that's excellent. I'm part of public relations. Here, let me give you our card as well. And I hand her a card for the watch.
No problem.
Constable Cliff, public relations.
Oh, thank you. Do you look at the card she's given you?
Yes.
Assassin's Guild, Jarth, contact us on this Clax number if you want someone inhumed.
He is the Assassin's Guild. We have evidence. And I rush inside.
No problem. As you guys go in, there's a lot of noise coming from upstairs. It's not a massive house or massive building, but it's reasonably sizable. And you can hear a ruckus coming from upstairs.
Since Miss Bagot realized that they tend to leave through windows, she would like to go up and block the window of the room where all of the activity is in. So that's not like a point of exit.
I like that idea. Have a luck point.
Thank you.
Nice.
So you absolutely do that. As you get up there, you realize that there's a number of windows that they could leave by, but you've got one of them blocked and you have easy access to the other two.
Fantastic.
So no worries. So the rest of you move up the stairs, I'm assuming, towards this noise. As you get towards the top, you see a number of things. First of all, there is furniture strewn all over the place. There are a couple of areas where there's on one wood-paneled wall, you see a silvered throwing knife embedded in the wall. Another down a little bit further, you see a silver throwing knife embedded in a piece of furniture. And then there are a couple of areas where there have been slashes with a blade, probably just manual slashes rather than thrown. And up ahead in one of the rooms further down, you can hear this noise.
So Bart, not even looking, recognizing that something's going on in that room that needs to be stopped, pulls out his loose siege catapult, his crossbow, and knowing that he always hits what he should be aiming at, just holds it down towards the corridor, and he goes, "All right, let's make this day. I mean, make my day. God damn it!" And he pulls the trigger, knowing that it's going to hit whatever it needs to hit to stop this from going on.
No problem. So what we'll do is you hold on to that. That's going to be your action. We'll go through and see what everyone wants to do. The way it works in this game, there aren't rounds. There's no hit points. There's no skills. You tell me what you're going to do, and kind of like a dramatic task, or what's the other one? The
skill challenge.
In Savage Wars in Deadlands, but not the one where you got the multiple rounds to do a number of tokens. There was the other one which was just a single.
Well, yeah, dramatic task is the one that's got stakes.
Yeah,
and then there's the other one, and I forgot.
Yeah.
But we like it.
The second one,
we like it.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. Cooking it. Thank you. So it's kind of like that in as much as you tell me what you want to do. You pitch your trait, you roll the dice, and then we see how it works. See how each person succeeds, and then we'll go from there. I should tell you, my group we aired last night failed.
Oh no!
No, they were bad. It was fun, but it was not a success. So we've got Aaron's intention. We'll go the other direction. So Ashley, how do you want to have assisted this thing, or do we just want to take your blocking that window to be the assist? Your call.
I think that would be more of the assist that Miss Begot would do. Yeah.
Okay, so that's definitely a success. What's Cliff doing? What's Constable Cliff doing?
I think if Aaron's okay with it, I'd like to build off what he's doing, because I'm coming up from behind, and I'm coming up rather slow, and I'm a little bit clumsy in this temperature. So I think I would trip on the last stair, and just kind of my watch helmet, which is this piece of metal, goes flying off, and it spins down the hallway to just the right angle. It's almost directly in front of where Cliff was already aiming, as if he knew it was going to be there, just to help direct his bolt wherever it needs to go with a ricochet.
Nice, solid hit. So that's what you're planning. We'll come to the actual dice rolling subsequently. What is Constable Igorina doing?
So Igorina has a quirk called Happy to Call a Head Wound a Head Wound. So she's calling the shot that this is a head wound. So we are all putting all of our focus on this.
No worries. So do you want to? I'm going to say that is. We'll call that a D10.
Okay.
But again, we'll do that once we're done, everybody. And Constable Surly, Constable Underhand, what's your plan?
Surly was born and raised in the shade, so he's not afraid of a bit of a scuffle. And he's also curious enough to make cats nervous. So he wants to rush in and see what's going on and kind of get all up in it. And that's, I think, what he would be doing. He'd just be rushing in. And at the very least, he's blocking a door that they can't get out.
No problem. I'm going to do the dice rolls in the opposite thing with leaving Bart to last, because I'm going to treat their actions as an assist to his action. So, Surly, pitch me a trait.
So the two I mentioned, born, raised in the shades. So I feel like he kind of knows his way around a scuffle, and curious enough to make cats nervous. I feel like if you see a dwarf just busting into a room all of a sudden, that's going to make anyone kind of nervous. He's just going to Kool-Aid man his way inside. Either one of those.
No problem. I think that's going to be a D10.
All right. That is fair. More than fair. All right. That is a lolly. So that lolly for us is 10 because we have some dice that have our stuff on it. So it is a 10.
No problem. That's another success. Igorina, I believe I said a 10 for you.
Yes, for my Happy to Call a Head Wound a Head Wound. So she is calling the shot. So, and she also has kind of her stitch in time kind of thing. So she's just sort of doing something that is kind of almost allowing Bart to sort of see that area. So she's kind of stitching, and when she pulls a stitch out, he can kind of like see the target almost.
No problem.
And I rolled a 1.
Okay, so this is a fail. So this, I'm going to say, is going to be a minor consequence. You can choose to spend a point of luck to reduce that to inconsequential.
I definitely want to spend the luck here because I'm trying to help, not hurt. So, and this I will spend the luck.
No problem. You start doing that, and you realise partway through your stitching that you've kind of gotten into an old stitching pattern that you've used in the past. And it's kind of a lightning bolt, and just as you finish it and you're about to pass it on, you realise what you've done wrong, and there's a peal of thunder and a crack of lightning that just kind of throws you off a little bit.
Oh, it was supposed to be the arrow. It wasn't supposed to be the lightning bolt. It's an arrow bolt. Luck spent.
Okay, so Constable Cliff, you were doing the thing with the helmet. What do you think what do you think your trait would be?
Yeah, I don't have a lot that are like right on the nose, so I think I'm gonna try to pitch public relations here, because we are interfacing with the public right now in a more negative manner than normal, but we're still relating to them.
No problem. I would remind you, you can twist the language as much as you like. So, but I'm happy to go with that. But I think that's going to be a D6.
D6. That's fair. I was thinking of all the other ways I could twist things, and I still think this is my best one. So
no problem.
It works.
That's a 2.
Okay.
And I will also spend the luck to decrease the consequence if I can.
Okay, no problem. So I think what happens is your consequence. Igorina's consequence is distracted. Constable Cliff is going to be embarrassment. You trip. Your helmet goes flying, and instead of doing what you want to do, you kind of land a bit heavily and slide down several stairs before you manage to catch yourself and start coming up. So you're embarrassed.
And now everyone can see my bald patch.
And well, actually, what they see is the helmet comes off, and there is what looks like hair on top, moss. But as he's sliding down, the moss slides off because it's just been placed there artfully. Obviously, Miss Begot, we've got your success already. That's awesome. Bart, take your shot. Pitch me a trait. I think it's
so. I'm using the fact that I'm a member of the Watch, so I've got the authority to do this. I'm using my loose siege catapult, which is my crossbow, and I'm using always hit what I should be aiming at, and not shooting people because his intent is not to kill this guy; it's just to stop him.
No problems. So I think that with what hits what you're aiming for, that's going to be a D12. That's pretty much on the money. And I will give you some. But what I'll do is I'll treat the successes that have already been made as luck points for you.
Okay, I like it.
I think that works.
I got a 9.
Okay, I got a 2. So no.
So I think the bolt hits Cliff's helmet, hits the wall, ricochets back into the room where the scuffle is going on, smacks into the base of the spittoon in the corner there, in the corner of the door, and the spittoon flies up and hits Jeff in the head for the headshot, knocking him down or knocking him out.
Poor Jeff.
Apologies.
I thought you said Jeff. I'm like, you shot me? What? That's not right.
That absolutely happens.
Other Jeff.
That absolutely happens. So Surly is pounding down the hallway. Igorina, well, you're not sure what Igorina did, but there was a sudden peal of thunder that almost put you off. You hear Constable Cliff slam into the floor and slide down. And there's probably an embarrassed, and some splintering of wood. You don't notice necessarily Miss Begot and what Miss Begot has done, but there is a dark shadow in part of it, which actually allows you to see a bit better because the sunlight isn't streaming in and sort of screwing things up. And you fire a bolt, and it absolutely does that. It ricochets off several items, hits the spittoon, whacks into Jarth's head, who goes down like a sack of potatoes. And you have captured Jarth. You've come across Archie Tuttle, or the Duke, whatever you want to call him, He's actually hidden in a wardrobe. There are marks in the wardrobe where Jarth has been stabbing and trying to hack into this thing. And he is standing there wearing his big black spiked boots, which just look weird. But absolutely, the nervousness starts seeping out into almost exhausted. I don't even know how to describe it properly. It's exhaustion. He's relieved, but he's just. There's also the fact that there are several members of the watch in his room. Oh, thank you. I have no idea what's going on here.
Well, you've been sanctioned for assassination.
I have?
Indeed,
Why?
you have. Well, that's not inside of our purview. That's not a watch concern. You'd have to take that up with the Assassin's Guild. I recommend doing it through a solicitor, though, and not showing up yourself.
More than likely, it probably has something to do with the significant amount of con schemes that you've been running here and there. But that's just a theory I'm working on. As he's setting up his stand over top of the body of the assassin, and then getting the camera right now. If you could just look here at the camera really quickly this is for evidence. Smile. And he takes a look.
No problem. As when you check the photographs later, as when Constable Cliff is taking a photograph, he always has his eyes closed. When you check the photographs of Eric, Archie, he has done something with his face. He's basically made a face, and he doesn't look like Archie. When you check it back, it's almost like he does a squint in a certain way, and it looks like a very different person.
Fascinating. Or maybe Frank's just drunk. I don't know.
Also possible. So
he has been drinking all day.
Yeah, Archie will, as soon as he got the chance. Sorry, I've got business to attend to, so I really have to run.
You are not allowed to leave, sir.
I'm the victim here.
But you're also of this crime, but you have also perpetrated your own crimes that you are being detained for.
Yes, the assassination was all of the paperwork was in order for that, so that isn't actually something that we would be looking into. But the other things that you seem to be doing are things that we would be looking into.
Does anybody have any traits that relate to not being surprised?
Yes, I'm a gargoyle. I am stiff as stone and hard to move.
Okay.
I'm simple but not stupid.
Okay.
That's all I got.
No, I don't.
I follow my gut. It's not really on target, but close.
Born and raised in the shades, so I'm always kind of on guard, maybe, because pickpockets and thieves and such.
Okay, so Jeff, Cliff, and Miss Bigot will give a D10. Unfortunately, I think for Bart and Icarina's can be D4.
Sure, fair.
That was a net 1.
3.
I got a 4.
8.
3.
Oh God.
Okay. So he looks. There's a look on his face which is very much the moi, kind of absolutely shocked that you might say something.
Sure.
And then his hand flicks, and there's an explosion of smoke and dust and light. There's a moment where the window you're blocking, Miss Bigot, shakes, followed by a voice going, "Damn!" And then another window shatters, and he slides out the window and starts running. And this is him escaping, effectively.
Sure.
I would like to chase after him as soon as possible. And while doing so, I'd like to call for assistance for all nearby animals. Since I am beloved by animals and I irresistibly draw dragons to me.
Okay. I would say that would be a D10, but having dragons come towards you is not a good thing. So I'm going to bring that down to a D6.
That's fair. That's fair. That is a 5.
Okay, I got a 7. So you absolutely try to chase them. You call for animals. There are a number of animals. In fact, there are so many animals that they're getting under your feet. There are a lot of people reacting to the really shonky stop-go motion look of you going, and a couple of dragons swoop down to where you are, dramatic, shock each other, and one of them just explodes with a splatter as swamp dragon parts hit all over the place. And what we'll do is I'm going to move into, because of time as much as anything, I'll move into the sort of lead out of this. You get to this point, you find within his quarters a hidden piece of jewelry that looks like it belonged to the mummy. It's very much a Djelababian piece of jewelry. When you check it, the only fingerprints on it belong to the assassin. You also get a call from members of the Watch to say about an hour, 2 hours later, that there's an emergency and you are needed in the warehouse district because there has been a ritual cast and demons from the dungeon dimension are crawling out of it. A number of members of the Watch were trying to deal with that after having tried to find out about the theft of a spell book from the Library of the Unseen University, failed to stop it. So now there are a number of Watch members, including Sergeant Moroi, who's a vampire, Constable Mighty Praiseworthy, who is an Omnian. You've got a dwarf known as what do I call Hylek, who is this probably quite something that Surly's uncomfortable with because Hylek is actually being female. Following on from Cheery Little Bottom, she has spot welded some heels on 6-inch heels on the bottom of her boots, and makeup and everything. There is also who's the other one? There was Nack McFeagle, Big Jock, who is also a constable. Basically, for those who are not familiar, a pixie, otherwise known as a pixie who's seen entirely too much Braveheart. And Stop the Pigeon, who is a constable and is a magically mutated pigeon who can speak and is better read probably than most of the group. And you guys go off to deal with that.
Well,
and then
before we do, though, he would the detective Bart would write a citation for Geoff for assassinating the wrong individual, failure to report improper assassination, the murder of a corpse, improper disposal of a corpse in the city waterways, and finally, destruction of private property by knifing the armoire of Mrs. Cupcake. So that's a very huge fine, and he nails it gently with some nails that he pulls out of his own body into the side of the skull of Geoff, and then tells Mrs. Cupcake on the way out, "Send over for the Assassin's Guild. They'll come pick him up and pay his fine after they've dealt with his indiscretions."
No problem. So, cut to the watch house. The door opens and Commander Vimes walks out of his office. The boots he is wearing don't match the quality of the rest of his clothes. The outfit looks like it's worth a king's ransom. Swan feathers, the whole works. Whereas his boots look like they cost $10. Well done. To begin with, it looked like mythological. Glad to see you caught the person responsible. I've had the Djela baby and stuff given to their embassy, although I'm not sure how well that will go. Head to the bucket when you're done. I'll buy you a pint. And with that, he stalks off. You could always tell Commander Vimes' walk because it sounded like that of a sober man who was constantly surprised by his sobriety. The scene changes to one of showing Archie Tuttle settling down for a meal. Very disappointed look on his face due to the fact that the ritual that he was doing didn't go to plan. The view pulls back, and before it reaches anything, there is a whistling noise and the Duke stiffens. A crossbow bolt sticking out the side of his head, and attached to the end of the bolt is a piece of paper which looks like a guild receipt. Fade to black. And we are done.
Yay! Very nice.
That
very
was a lot of
nice.
fun, Richard. That was
That
it.
was good.
It's a great
job.
little game, I think. I think it works. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to getting the books.
Super fluid, very free. You can do a lot of things you want to do. It was a lot of fun.
The
Yeah.
mechanics made
Yeah.
it a lot of fun. I was unsure when I read the quick start, but how it plays is a lot better than how it
Yeah.
reads.
It's quick
So
and
I'd
fluid,
be interested
yeah.
to see the full book when it comes out
Mm.
too.
Same.
Definitely. So thank you all for playing. I'm glad
Thank you for
all enjoyed
running.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was a
thanks
lot of
for
fun.
running.
It was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This was
All
very
right.
fun.
So this is when we basically do our closing plugs. So why don't we go ahead and start doing that? We'll start with Garblag. If Aaron and Richard, if you guys know what's going on with Garblag over, I know holidays and stuff, but what's going on these days?
I'm not sure that anything's going on next week, but definitely come back. Go over to Gartopia, the Garblag Discord, and check out the catalog. We've got a ton of games on the Garblag YouTube channel going back years. But when we come back, we should be able to find Pete on Tuesdays doing Electric State. On Wednesdays, I believe Stu, who is a staple of our Wednesday game, is going to be running some Judge Dredd in the very near future, the new Judge Dredd system. So that should be a lot of fun. And then on Thursdays, my understanding is that the One Ring should be coming back before too long with Lewis. And then Richard, you're going to be running Lower Decks after that, aren't you?
The Lower Decks, I think it might well be a pre-record to air later, depends on circumstances. But yes, definitely the One Ring. I think the plan is to start on the 2nd. In actual fact, I'm going to be in that, and it's going
awesome.
to that should be fun.
You guys doing like Moria or just something else?
Yeah, Moria, all the dwarves.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
fantastic! Yeah.
So
really cool.
that's fun. I don't know beyond that. I think there is some talk once the Electric State is done of possibly doing an Alien game. Millie's looking at running an Alien game, and again, I should be in that one as well, which should be fun as well.
Cool.
Awesome, fantastic. Steven, before I give the usual Lollygagger spiel, you want to tell everybody what you do?
Yeah. So Christmas is coming up in 4 days, and what better gift than the gift of Huckleberry? It's a Weird West tabletop RPG. If you like horror, if you like action, if you like Hellboy, if you like Tombstone, it's the game for you. It's available now on drivethrurpg.com. All the links can be found at huckleberryrpg.com. It's a lot of fun. We've played it here on the channel, so you can see how it's played. And if you have questions, join the Discord. I'm always happy to answer, and we got a lot of cool people willing to answer. Jeff was probably knows the rules better than I do. So if he gets to the Discord first, you're in good hands.
I don't really ever consider rules. They're more just suggestions, I think.
Like the pirate
That's how I
code.
feel. Yeah. Okay. As for us, I think our next game is. I think we're still on for Monday for Otherscape, our mythic cyberpunk game. But otherwise, we're off Tuesday. We're off Thursday. Probably Friday. I think we'll be back for Call of Cthulhu next Saturday. But keep an eye on the Discord, and I'll have all that kind of stuff updated. And similar to Garblack, check out the YouTube page, Adventures in Lollygagging. We got all sorts of stuff there. Way too many videos. We're gonna raid. Valdrianth. They're playing some. I think it's Dragon Age. I think it's the Age system, Age Fantasy. So we'll go ahead and give them a raid. Have a great rest tonight. Thank you again, Richard. It was so much fun. I appreciate you running
You're
this.
quite welcome. You're quite welcome.
And we'll see you later. Bye bye.
Good night.
Bye.